Hello. Hi, friends of the internet. It's me, Ryan Oleopoulos. Welcome to the Fake Nerd Podcast, episode 310. I had to look up there because I didn't know what number it was. We have many questions here today on the Fake Nerd Podcast, such as to kill or not to kill, with our friend Kratos here and his little boy Atreus. That little boy, he's growing up so fast. Or to kill or to be killed. There's a lot of murder on today's agenda here at the Fake Nerd Podcast. But speaking of murders, I got our murderers row of guests. I don't know why they're guests. They've been on this podcast for 6 years of people I talk to on the internet. I got Ben Magnet.
Yeah, that's me. I don't know why I'm on Murder's Row. What did I murder?
No, a murderer's row. Anyway, we got Brandon T. McClure here too.
I am the guest of today's podcast. Thank you.
Welcome to the solo Ryan Oleopoulos podcast, where the two guests who originally started this podcast are also here, I guess. That's my intro. Just thought of it on the spot. Goodbye.
We're missing one.
We are. Somebody did something this weekend or whatever. I don't know, like getting married. I don't know.
Well, who knew? Yes, our good friend and co-host Sparks Whitty got married this weekend, just yesterday as we are recording this, and we are very happy for him. We are very proud of him and his new wife. Insane that has happened. It's a very surreal moment for me, because I've known him for 18 years. But yeah, so he's married and it's taking some time to be with his new wife, which he should. So he will not be on today's show.
Yeah, that would I would be mad if you were on this podcast the day after.
Right.
Like the day after you get married, if you just pop up, I was like, okay, so we're going to go. So I'm like, no, the hell you are not.
All right, guys, I'm married. Peace out. Let's do the podcast.
Yeah, the second after he said his vows, he's like, all right, let's go record a podcast.
Yeah.
No, don't be like that, anybody.
Might be my vows. All right. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure if I were to do that on my wedding day, Fanny would kill me.
she probably divorced you on the spot.
Probably, yeah.
You have to be married first to get divorced, Brandon.
Well, yeah, he gets married.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
but you're right. It's just before. It's just
That's what I'm
before.
saying.
Yeah, I now pronounce it.
If you're getting married, you can't get divorced.
You're
So
right.
like, no, so we're saying the vows, and it's like, cool. So after we're done with the vows, like I can record some. She's like, nope, I do not. Like when the priest or whoever our officiant is, we're not gonna get a priest. Like turns to her, it's like, now do you, Fatty, take Ben to be? She's like, no, I don't. He's gonna record. I'm out.
There you go. No divorce needed.
No divorce needed.
You know what we do need though?
Links?
Links. There are only 2 links in the description today. A very light week for the Fake Nerd Podcast, which is fine. We just got back from a long break, and we did a 5-hour podcast last week. We deserved it.
I'm still tired.
So if you're still recovering from our 5.5 hour long podcast from last week, you can of course check out some links in the description. Mostly Ben, all Ben actually. Ben, why don't you talk about your run of Grayson Live?
Oh shit, yeah.
Probably
Oops, all Ben.
7 through 12. I don't know how many you're doing right now.
Yeah, that guy he puts out a lot. So Grayson and I, we went back to Super Mario 3D World because we're doing cleanup. We're getting all the stars we missed, the stamps we missed, all the stuff that we missed when we did our first playthrough. So now we're just cleaning up, and I'm talking about my Europe trip. I'm talking about going to Portland. So you should definitely check all that out. Links in the description below. It's a good time. I definitely ramble on some cases because there are times where the game just has me in its clutches and I lose my train of thought, which happens a lot. I just by that smirk alone, I know it's like it happens every single mother effing time. And I notice it when I listen back, and I swear I'm trying to work on it. But
You know what? They're only 20 minutes long, and you gotta fill the time with something.
Yeah. And also I'm kind of sad Sparks isn't here because I did drink some wake up juice an hour ago. So I'm awake. I'm ready.
Look,
Damn, it's 9 o'clock. It's late for wake up juice.
if this episode is 5.5 hours long, look, I'll retire from podcasting.
If this is still going in 5 hours, I won't be on it.
You know what? I won't be on it. We'll
I
just
will be
end
asleep.
it. We'll just be done.
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, I also drank it for other reasons because I'll talk about it in my week. But
Is
yeah,
it a sex thing?
Okay.
it's not. Good God,
No,
it's a nostalgia bitch thing. Okay.
Good. Ben.
Yeah, and the other one, D and Dark, I assume.
There you go. Yes, The End Dark,
Yeah.
episode 11.
Yeah. So this one, obviously two-parter, as you can tell from the title. It's yeah. I don't know exactly what to say about the episode because I really want people to listen to it, but we do. I'll say this: we arrive at a university. The party arrives at a university, and shit goes down. That's all I'm
Okay.
going to say.
Okay.
Stay tuned for that episode. You can find that episode linked below, and that's it. Unless I'm missing something from you, Ben.
I mean, hold on a second. Come here.
All right, he's reaching
Get
for
over
something.
here.
Audio listeners, he's reaching for something. He got a thing,
My new issue of Fusion finally came to America.
but it's been
I
out
just-
before, right?
And in England, yes, it finally arrived in America, and this is
Oh,
supposed.
good.
This was supposed to be the Halloween issue.
I can tell by
There
the
you go.
spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah, Ryan, you appreciate because my Tall Poppy article is in this one, where I actually do I
Very
mention
tall.
you by name actually or no? I'm pretty sure I did.
I mean, oh, geez,
Fake Nerd Podcast royalty Ryan Eliopoulos once
But-
said.
But I did mention you and Sparks in this article. So, but yeah, this is up. This is up on the Fusion website if you want to pick it up. Just
Very
letting you
cool.
know. Issue 38.
That's all the links we have in the description. So why don't we go into our week? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
I saw a movie with you, Brandon, and that's everything new that I did this week.
All right. Shin Ultraman.
Yep, I saw Shin Ultraman, and it was pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We didn't see it together specifically, but we saw it on the same night, the same day.
Yes.
This is Hideki Anno, directed by Shinji Higuchi.
Yep, I didn't know he didn't direct it until I was in that theater, and I can now 100% tell. Yeah, he did not direct this movie.
I was actually surprised. I shouldn't have been. Here's the thing. Let me preface with I should not have been surprised considering Hideki Anno did not direct it, but I was still a little surprised that we didn't get the song from Evangelion that's in Shin Godzilla also. You know, the dun dun dun. I was a little surprised about that, but
Yeah.
I digress. Ultimately, it's a pretty good movie. It's my first exposure to Ultraman. I think it's yours as well.
Not at all.
You know, what's your exposure to Ultraman?
I've read the comics from Marvel. I've watched 2 episodes of one of the recent shows, and I watched one of the original movies when this was originally announced years ago.
I see. How are those?
How are the what? The comics?
How are those?
They're written by Kyle Higgins, so you should read it.
Okay, I have the first one. I haven't
Yeah,
had a chance to read it.
it's a pretty good
Yeah.
comic. Yeah, Ultraman is. I wish Hideki Anno did direct this because the thing about Ultraman is like it's also very, very religious, and there's not a lot of religion happening in this movie.
There's a passing reference.
Yeah,
There's a passing
which is fine.
reference.
Which is fine. It is like kind of like Shin Godzilla. Like this is like, hey, if it's your first time watching Ultraman, here's kind of like an encapsulation of everything Ultraman. It's almost like this movie has like, which is different than. Well, no, it's actually kind of similar. But like it has like almost 3 arcs in the movie where it's like here's a little scenario, here's a scenario, and here's a scenario, and they all kind of tie together. And they just keep getting extremely more weird as they go, which is really fun. I just wish the whole movie was like that, to be honest.
Mhm.
Because without Anno directing, I think some of the like how sincere and naive and like very like anime it can be without the right director, it can come off a little hokey and bad at times.
Mhm.
Which I don't like. I don't like saying that with anything Hideki Anno related, because he still wrote and produced this movie, and he was going to direct it, but he was directing Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, so he couldn't. He literally couldn't. He didn't have the time. So he handed it to his homie, which I guess is fine. It's not a bad movie, but like I thought it was good. I wish I liked it more, to be honest.
Yeah, there was a guy sitting next to me. I think I agree with everything you just said. There was a guy sitting next to me who's a huge Ultraman fanatic. Like he sat down and immediately talked to the other people next to us. Is like, Stu, is this your first time watching Ultraman? And he's like, yeah, it's my first. And he like went in on it, and he loved this movie. He had a blast with this movie.
That's awesome.
And I was really happy for him. But I also felt like I wish I was like, oh man, I wish I could have your experience right now.
Yeah.
Because it's a very good movie. I really like it.
And I'm sure. I think as an actual movie, it's fine. I think if you're a fan of Ultraman, you'll get a lot out of it. Just like if you're a bigger fan of Godzilla, you'll enjoy Shin Godzilla more. Even though I think that movie's just a fucking awesome movie too.
Yeah.
But like it's again like without Anno's like flair, some of the hokiness in this doesn't translate as well without him behind the director of it. Specifically, there's like a reoccurring joke about like slapping people's butts. That's just like. What are we doing? What is this? 1990s anime? I'm like, well, I guess so.
I wasn't sure what we were trying to do with that one.
Yeah, by the end, I'm like, I don't even know what the point of this joke is anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you like Ultraman, well, you can only see it in Fathom events, so you can't really see it anymore. But like, it's worth seeing on the big screen for sure. Like that final act, really cool, really really big and dumb. I love it.
Yeah, there's what I really like about it is I really like the CG. I like all the designs of the monsters.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
great.
Ultraman looks really good.
Mhm.
And I love the kind of like old style look that they have to it. Like he flies like he's on wires, and
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was really cool. And
It
like
looks cheap on purpose.
yes,
It looks great. Like my biggest dream is this we can just get another dudes in suits kaiju movie, and
yeah,
this feels like it, but it looks it's CG, but like it has the feel of guys in suits.
yeah. And I mean, and I think that they talk about it in the beginning of like there's an interview in the beginning where like Shinji Iguchi talks about like we wanted to make the '60s Ultraman,
Yeah,
and
and
I
it
was like,
feels
you
like
did
that.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they definitely did it.
yeah,
I love the final act a lot because of how weird and visually really interesting it is.
yeah,
But I agree with you. I wish the whole movie was like that.
yeah. Because like because I think if you're already going to go see a movie called Shin Ultraman, you're going to get into like kaiju and robots. So like I think you can get a little crazier because like Shin Godzilla, that dude's like puking up stuff and like blood splatter. It's like that thing's weird he's like a slug monster at the beginning.
Mhm.
Like that movie's weird from the jump. So like I kind of just wish like I love how hokey it is. I'm glad that it feels like a 60s movie. Like it's cheesy as shit and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just don't think the directorial flair is as strong as if Anna was directing it.
I agree. And I also I just want to mention my final thoughts on it is I also really like the cast. I think that they were all really good.
Yeah. It's it's really funny this guy's name is Shinji and it's a very popular name. But I'm like, man, like Ano and Shinji's, but it's also like the director's name or like the actor's name. It's like just Shinji's like John. It's a John.
Yeah.
He's John.
There's an alien monster in this movie, Ben, which is kind of not two-dimensional, but he's like flattened and then curved, and he's like he shows up a lot.
Paper.
Yeah, and he shows up a lot in like a trench coat and a hat, and it's so stupid. I love it.
Yeah. The first time they showed up, and I'm like, man, this feels like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
This feels like expensive, quote unquote, Doctor Who, while still looking like utter dog shit in a good way. Like they're making a show from the 60s, but in 2022. And I wish that happened more often.
Yeah, me too. Ultimately, I'm really glad I got to see it though.
Same, absolutely, me too. Good time. It was a good time.
Would you say Ultraman?
No.
I don't know. You said Ultraman, then my brain went to Ultra.
It does the game is on thing where it kind of like sets up like now the rest of Ultraman can happen if this were a franchise. And I'm like, nah, we're only getting one of these movies though. Dang it.
But we know we're only getting one of them because the next movie he's doing is Shin Kamen Rider.
Yeah. It's just I think that's just a fun thing of like now you can explore all of the movies and TV shows and know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing. Like now you have 50 years of movies to watch. Happy birthday, Ultraman fans!
I am looking forward to Shin Kamen Rider still. Hideki Anno is directing that one, and Shinji Iguchi. By the way, I do want to mention that he was There's a lot of really good visual effects in this movie, and a lot of it has to do with Shinji Higuchi, who did the visual effects on Shin Godzilla, I believe, and he also did the visual effects on the Gamera trilogy in the 90s, which I adore, and I think they look incredible. And so like it was really cool. There's actually a specific callback. One of the coolest shots in the movie is like Ultraman's hand comes up from like the nether dimension that he's in and like grabs the dude that's turning into him, and that's straight out of Gamera. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm really glad to see that shot again.
Yeah, there's some really cool, like they're just throwing out like the term multiverse, like know what it is and it's no big deal. And like in the movie, it isn't a big deal. And it's like, man, that's just the world they live in. Just like gods of light and kaijus that feed on negative energy, which really isn't in this movie. But that's like the kaiju come to Earth because they feed on human beings' negative energy. And the beings of light, the gods of light, have purged negative energy from their beings. So they're like Super Saiyans and come to help people. Like Ultraman's like a he's basically Superman, a robot Superman.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. Like it definitely felt at times like this guy feels like Superman right now, like running away in a forest, ripping his shirt off. I'm like, that's just Superman. That was fun.
It does what I think it should have done, which is it wet my whistle, and now I want to explore more Ultraman, which is good.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the best thing one of these can do. Yeah.
Right.
I'm still playing more Midnight Suns, but I don't have any more to talk. If you want to hear me talk about that, watch our top 15.
Well, since I already talked about Shin Ultraman, why don't I just finish my week? Because I don't have a lot more than that.
Finish it.
And then Ben can go. I will talk about X-Men. I read a bunch of X-Men comics. I'm now 6 months behind.
Hey,
so
not that bad. All things considered, where you used to be.
that's true. So I read Immortal X-Men, Duggan's X-Men post X Lives, and Wolverine X Force. I will say, I decided not to continue reading Marauders by Orlando.
Yeah.
I don't even really like the art, so I was just kind of like, I'm not.
That's why I stopped. That's why I dropped it, because like after I gave it 2 issues and I'm like, I just can't do the art. I'm going to finish it on Marvel Unlimited one, because now I don't have to. It's a subscription, but I don't have to pay weekly for it or monthly for it. So like, I want to read it for the story, because it is important. Like it is a main X-Men book, but I don't like the art. I really don't.
I just kind of got halfway through the story also with the first issue, because I read the annual and the first issue, which are both written by Orlando, and I found the annual to be fine. But like I'm reading the first issue, and I'm like halfway through it, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunate, because I really liked Marauders when Duggan was doing it.
Yeah, and I like Steve Orlando, but like the art's half the comic. Like I have to like looking at it just as much as I like reading it.
And then I think I'll continue with Knights of X, but I wasn't crazy about that. It's only 6 issues though, so
I think it's 5.
5. Well, it's not too long, so I could probably keep going with that.
Either you continue with it, or just jump onto the new Captain Britain Betty Braddock #1 that comes out next month.
Yeah, I could probably do either.
Yeah.
But so I'll talk about the ones I really liked, which is Immortal X-Men, which rules. Immortal X-Men is you actually, and this is not your fault, because it's been ages since it's been out, but you like spoiled what kind of the major twist of the issue for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's been ages, so it's fine that you did. But I did not know that it was just a Sinister book, and I love Mr. Sinister from Hellions, and Kieran Gillen keeps that going.
Yeah,
keeps that same Sinister going. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm under.
And something I didn't realize until listening to an interview with Kieran Gillen, but Immortal X-Men is a 12-issue book. It's going to be 12 issues, and every single issue is based on a different character. So the focal point, if you look at all the issues, they're all focal points of different characters while the actual story is happening, but it's focusing on one member of the Quiet Council for every single issue. And I'm like, that's just good shit.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I really like Immortal X-Men. I really like Wolverine and X-Force, and other books that I can't remember at this point. There's some
X-Men
really
Red,
cool.
because that's also
X-Men Red.
That's the shit. That's the queen. She's the queen of the universe. I can't get over Storm. How good she looks too.
And Legion of X. I just read Legion of X today, which I really liked.
David Haller.
I really liked Way of X when it was titled Way of X, when Siberia was doing it, and now we're doing Legion of X, and I really like it. There's a lot of really cool ideas happening in the X-Men comics right now that I'm like super into. Even X Lives and X Death Wolverine introduced the concept that they should probably put a Cerebro helmet in a black hole to prevent anybody from disappearing from the timeline, so that they can be revert. I was like, that's so cool. That's a really cool idea.
I love that. Like, you have Krakoa, which is a giant living island with millions of people on it, right? But you also have like secret hidden like nodes or tumors. Like Moira's got her no place. You got the pit where all the villains get thrown into. Like Xavier's got a spot. Everyone has their own little spot that like even Krakoa doesn't know about. So it's just like, it's just so much like it is a brand new landscape, but it's still the same old machinations of people like stabbing each other in the back and having their own plans and this and that. And it's like you can be different, but you're still the X-Men. That's what I love. That's great.
Yeah. The idea, like some of the stuff they're doing with Cerebros, I really like.
You got to X-Force where it's like the living Cerebro thing, right?
The living Cerebro thing. Yeah, no, we were just introduced to that. We don't know. I've seen it, but it's not happened yet.
Okay.
That's the next issue that I'm going to read. There's some really cool ideas like in Legion of X. That Kurt's just doing some really interesting things, but I really like David Haller, Legion himself. He's a really cool character that I really like following in this book. They like put a gate inside of his head to create like this astral plane for people to just hang out in, and I think that's so cool.
Yeah, because he has like perpetual personality. So like, why don't we create like a dimension in my head that we can go to?
Yeah.
Okay, bud. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? There's Immortal X-Men is really cool. Like you talked about the stuff with Moira already that I think is awesome.
I won't re-spoil it, but like it's incredible. It's like what started with Hoxpox of like Moira is like the savior of mutantdom. Like she is like the big hero of this book. To see where she is now and just how different, not just as a person, because she's like not a person anymore.
Yeah.
But like just like where she is with the alignments with everyone. It's just like it's so crazy. Like how far does a couple years can go for a person.
And then the Trial of Magneto also introduced a really cool concept that I wanted to just talk about, like because I read this a while ago, but like the idea that Scarlet Witch, so there was a problem within Cerebro's backups that everybody who died before Cerebro started backing up were just gone forever.
Yeah,
like there was no way to resurrect them because there was no backups of these people.
So Grant Morrison's X-Men, E for Extinction, 16 million mutants were killed, right? All of them, they can't get brought back because there's no file on them right now. They're not living right now. And then Wanda's thing, well, you can explain that part.
And so like she goes through mutant resurrection, she stages the whole thing to create this kind of like world out, this waiting room that exists outside of time that allows those mutants who were not able to be backed up to finally have a backup. And it also erases the need for the Crucible. So if you don't have your powers anymore because of M-Day, then you can walk into the waiting room and you will be reborn with your powers again.
Yeah, you don't have to be senselessly murdered in a gladiatory arena, which is like incredibly baller. But like, as a society, should we be doing that? Should we be murdering people so they can become their better selves?
So like, I really like some of the places that the X-Men titles are going right now. I got plenty more to read, and I can't wait for it all.
Yeah, Thunderbird, who is a character who died in like 1977. He died like in the first two issues of the new X-Men launch.
Yeah.
He's been dead for like 40 years. And like that meant something. And him coming back is actually like really cool. And like he's like, I've been gone for so long. I don't even know who these people are. My brother, who is younger than me, is now older than me. This shit's whack. And he's really mean. And he's like, him and Cable have like a grudge, and it's really great.
And there's a mutant that I just met in Legion of X who like his mutant power is that people don't remember him.
Oh yeah, not like No Girl,
Maxie or something.
Remember Me? Something?
No, it starts with an M. It's like Maxie, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah, like it's like this, like what is it? The silence from Doctor Who, where like you look away and you don't remember him.
Yeah. Because there's like he'll be having a conversation. People are like, do I know you? Like, what are we talking? It's like we have actually been talking for an hour.
That's so awful.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying all of that.
I love it.
Let's see what else I got. Star Trek Prodigy. Star Trek Prodigy finished its first season finally. 20 episodes, the longest season of the current Star Trek shows. I was not as hot with the Star Trek Prodigy fandom as others. People were really into Star Trek Prodigy, calling it like the best Star Trek show on the air right now. I disagree. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but people really like Star Trek Prodigy, and I liked it. It's a good show. It's a stealth sequel to Star Trek Voyager. So there's a lot of concepts from Star Trek Voyager that come back into play in Star Trek Prodigy, and that's really cool because I like Voyager. Catherine Janeway plays Kate Mulgrew plays two characters, Hologram Janeway and Vice Admiral Janeway. And it's a solid show with good animation and some good kind of Monster of the Week concepts with an overarching plot. But it really, really hit the nail on the head with its finale. The 2-part finale is great. It's not as great as Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Nothing ever will be. Check out my top 15 for why. But Star Trek Prodigy's 2-part finale was very good, and it made me cry like 3 times. And there's some really cool ideas, some really cool setups for the next season. Really happy. Ultimately, just incredibly happy with where Star Trek is right now. Just 3 good shows. 3 good Star Trek shows on the air, man.
Look at that. Look how far we've come.
We had 0. Now we have 3.
Is Kurtzman still like the head of the thing?
He is, but you can tell the shows that he takes his hand off of. And that's really important because Star Trek Lower Decks, look, Kurtzman, I have my issues with Kurtzman, and he's clearly not a comedian. So he just lets Mike McMahon do a Star Trek show with Star Trek Lower Decks. That's cool. Star Trek Prodigy is a kid's show. So he's he's not really have a hand on that one because it's a kid's show. So he's just doing his kid's show thing. And that's cool. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is probably the one that he has the most hands on with like the good Star Trek shows, because Akiva Goldsman is the showrunner of that, and they're best friends. So also Star Trek Strange New Worlds is like staggeringly good for Akiva Goldsman. Like, it's crazy that Akiva Goldsman, who I don't even like as a writer and a producer, hasn't made probably the best Star Trek show in decades.
Hey man, the guy who made Chernobyl and The Last of Us made like not like Scary Movie 4 and superhero movie. Like,
I know, it's wild. Like,
where's this from the ashes?
Where's this been inside of you all this time?
Yeah.
So Discovery, Kurtzman is the showrunner for. Not actually anymore, but like mostly he is, because he doesn't trust people with that show often, so he has a more hands-on approach to that. And I don't know what the hell he has to do with Star Trek Picard. I think Star Trek Picard season 2 was just kind of dealing with the fact that Michael Chabon was leaving halfway through and Terry Matalas was coming in halfway through. I don't necessarily blame Kurtzman. I think there was just something that just happened in the transition between showrunners. But hopefully, Star Trek Picard season 3 will be great.
Let's hope for the best.
So great. Star Trek is in a great place. I'm really happy with that. And finally, no, not finally. I'm sorry. I won't talk about finally. So 1923. I watched the first 4 episodes of 1923, which is the new Yellowstone prequel series, starring Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. I've never seen Yellowstone. I've talked about 1883 before on the podcast. I don't need to rehash that. 1923 is incredible. We talk about a lot how Harrison Ford has just been phoning it in for decades. Maybe not decades, but like years.
Yeah, for a while. There's been times where it's just like, yeah, he's just there for the paycheck.
Yeah. 1923, he's incredible. He's better than I've seen him in a very, very long time. I'm so happy he's as good as he is.
Part-time.
That
will be in my brain forever.
Until Dial of Destiny creates a new one. So 1923 is basically like, at the event, it's 40 years after 1883. I think I did the math right. And the character now, everyone you knew from 1883 is dead, and there's new people running Yellowstone. And Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are running Yellowstone. They run basically Montana. Still kind of like the Old West. And now there's a war descending on the Yellowstone, and they need to. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I don't understand what's going on, but I'm here for it. There's one of their nephews, which I think was one of the kids from 1883, has been kind of in Africa. And he's got a delightful plot line where he's falling in love with this girl who's going to be married off to a loveless marriage, and all she wants is adventure. And he's like manly man, the man. He is hired to hunt animals that kill people. So like if you're like camping in Africa and you're like, hey, I'm just camping in Africa. Oh no, a lion just ate my husband. You call this guy, and he kills the lion.
The original Kraven the Hunter.
The original Kraven the Hunter. And so this girl like falls in love with him. Like is like super like, oh my God, I want to go with you. You live a life of adventure and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's not an adventure. It's actually sad. But anyway, it's a delightful plotline. Love it very much. Love them. They're perfect together. Great show. Next 4 episodes air in February. Cannot wait. This might do it. I might start watching Yellowstone.
I mean, they have so much prequel history. You have to now.
I know, right?
You have to.
The fact that there's a drama based off if arguably like the most famous national park in the United States of America, the fact that there's like 3 shows based off that one park is like kind of amazing if you ask me.
Ben, Yellowstone is the most popular show on TV. Period.
That's nuts.
Isn't that wild?
Older people just love that shit.
I bet. I don't know if this is a flex, but I actually have been to Yellowstone before.
It's not a flex.
Was Kevin Costner there?
No,
Because he's in Yellowstone.
Because that would be a flex.
That would be a flex.
No, I just remember one time, one of my trips to visit my family in Montana, we begged our parents to drive through Yellowstone, and we did, and we actually got to see Old Faithful erupt. That was really cool.
That's pretty cool. All right, and then finally, I watched Willow. The entirety of season 1 of Willow is over. They have an ambitious 3-season plan, and I'm so here for it. Willow is basically a show made exclusively for me.
I can't watch it, I guess. Then.
Well, I mean, I hope that you both like it. I really do. But there's been some talk online about the show, not all of it positive, and I don't agree with the positive. I don't agree with the negativity lobby towards the show because it works for me on a level that clearly it doesn't for other people who have watched it.
For a split second, I know you didn't mean it, but when you said you don't agree with the positivity about the show, I was like,
know.
hold up, what?
I stopped myself.
I mean,
but like, it's very Last Jedi inspired. Here for it. Because anything Last Jedi inspired, I'm here for. There's a lot of
Last Jedi. No,
I know. Just pull up my glasses and be angry.
Sacred text.
And it's very funny. It's got a very charming cast of young actors who I fall in love with. It's got a lesbian relationship at the center of the show. Like the lead is a lesbian and they're in love, and that's the main relationship of the show. I'm like, hell yeah, here for it.
That's the only quote unquote negative that I've seen. It's just like lesbians. This is too woke.
Yeah, right.
So not actually any negativity.
Right. There's a character I really love called Borman. He's a lot of fun. He has a connection to Mad Mardigan. What's that connection? We don't know. I know it, but it is. But I won't spoil it. The show is very good. I really love it. The music is really fun because it's all like modern pop hits. It's great. Yeah, it's really fun though. There's a great montage that's just to I don't know the name of the song offhand, but it's awesome. I really like Willow. I've talked to Ben about us, maybe Ben and I just doing a Figures watch of it soon.
It's on my binge. It's one of my goals is to binge that whole season this upcoming week.
Yeah, hopefully this year, just kind of for the audience, hopefully this year we'll get to do some maybe more dividing and conquering, maybe get some more stuff that we want to do out. I know Ryan, you and Sparks have talked about doing The Last of Us.
Heck yeah, let's get sad.
Which aired a little while ago, right?
Yeah, and depending on how it's no, I'm not gonna watch it tonight. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I'm so excited, it's stupid. It's so dumb. I'm so excited.
That's my week.
Ben.
Cool. So before I go, I want to acknowledge Grayson, who is in the chat. He said, I know he's not here, but still want to say congrats to Sparks.
Yes, thank you. We will relay that.
We shall relay that message. And also this is when talking about Yellowstone, he's like, more popular than Jag? OMG. Now that's the name of a show I have not heard in a long time.
Most popular current show, Grayson.
What are you from the 70s?
Is Jag seriously the most popular television show ever?
Maybe.
I doubt
I don't know. I'm not going to look it up.
I thought it was MASH.
I thought it was Friends.
Go for it, Ben. Go for your week.
Anyways, yeah. So not a whole lot media-wise, but I do want to talk about three things. One, I'm going to talk very briefly because it's our main topic of the show. I started playing God of War, the post-game stuff, because I beat the game.
I started playing God of War Ragnarok, and I'm like, excuse me?
Joke's on you guys. I put in number 2. Could barely play 20 minutes of it. No, I started the post-game stuff. I started doing some post-game stuff in God of War Ragnarok.
I got it real quick because this was like, did you get to a second pair of credits? That's all I need to know.
Yes, I did.
Okay, you're fine. Then you're good. I was hoping because like some people because just people miss stuff, and I'm like, please don't miss that.
Oh no, I made damn sure I got to that second. Well, that's spoilers, and that's also stuff we'll be talking about. But yeah, I got there, bro. I got there. I got you. Second thing. The first thing of media that I want to talk about is that this weekend I've been bugging my roommates, Fanny and my roommate Kai, to finally playtest this game, and we finally played Pac-Man the board game, which Brandon so kindly got me for Christmas. And I have to say, as a board game a video game that transitions into a board game, you kind of think you're a little taken aback. It's like, how is this going to work? But this actually works very, very well. Every person playing at the table takes a turn playing as Pac-Man. The game is not officially over until everyone plays a turn as Pac-Man, and you just add up your score, and whoever has the highest score wins. And the way they incorporate the maze and the little pegs is that you put the pegs up, and it's like, okay, so it's like, you're eating the docks. You push it down, and the peg goes flat. The only thing that's a bit of a bummer is my little Pac-Man guy who is supposed to make the sounds doesn't make the sound. Like, it's a little... It doesn't make the actual waka waka, so I need to write an email to the company saying like, hey, maybe I'll try and change the battery, but I think I got a defaulted unit. Send me a new one for free, please.
Dear sir or madam, fire.
Pac-Man
help
doesn't work.
Fire.
Yeah, but at the same time, the game is actually very fun. It's actually, I mean, there's a lot of tokens and stuff that are situated with it. But it's actually very easy to learn and very fun to play. We played like 3 or 4 rounds of Pac-Man last night, so I have to say, very solid and very good transition from arcade video game to a board game. And I enjoy it. I really want to bring it over when all of us are together. Like, I'll come over super early, and then we'll play a few runs of Pac-Man before we record a show one day, because it's very fun.
We played a Marvel Uno game.
We did.
That's incredible. Ryan, you and I.
Yes, I haven't played Uno in a while, but I've never played Marvel Uno, and that's pretty cool. Because not only is there like, hey, the main game has like 4 heroes you can play, but you can add additional decks that not only include more heroes, but they can add additional players, so you can have like a bunch of people playing their own heroes. And that's a damn good time.
It's a really fun game.
Oh, guys, look, my nostalgic bitch is showing.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
it's me.
I like all they make a lot of really cool like licensed Unos that are I think really clever. We played like a Toy Story Uno, the Toy Story 3 Uno that had like a Duke Kaboom card that had a really fun power. That was cool.
Oh yeah. We had like a whole Uno like whole Uno slot of so many different types of Uno. Scooby-Doo Uno.
Nice.
Ben's talk about Pac-Man reminded me of that, so I just want to bring that up. And by the way, Ben, you are welcome for the Pac-Man game.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, it truly is a really fun game. The way that the ghost, everyone plays a turn as Pac-Man, everyone gets to play the ghosts. If there's like if there's only like 2 or 3 people, then the ghosts are divvied up evenly, and it's a really good translation, and it's actually very fun. It's definitely, you got risk and reward going with it. So highly recommend it if you like board games and video games, or am nostalgia's bitch like I am. The other thing that I want to talk about very briefly is that, once again, for Christmas, I got a Sega Genesis Mini 2. I finally plugged that in, turned it on, and started playing it. Aw, kitty cat. I have to say, Sega definitely knocked it out of the park when it comes with the mini consoles. We all know Nintendo made bank money with the NES and Super Nintendo Classic, but Sega definitely needs to be in this conversation a little bit more, because both of their mini consoles, the Sega Genesis 1 and 2, are outstanding, especially the second one. The second one of the best features that I found on it is because it comes with a 6-button controller layout that the Genesis became famous for from the Model 2 forward. And there's a button, it's like a right bumper, but it's not essentially a bumper. But you push that, and you are instantly brought towards like the save state screen. You could go back to the main menu, because on the original Genesis Mini 1, you just had to hold down the pause menu or the pause button, and then you'll be brought back to that screen. This time, nope. It's easy. It's so much easier to save your game. It's so much easier to create save states. If you're not feeling a game, you could just go back. You just go back and choose another one. Also, 60 games, and I have to give it to Sega that they definitely went with authenticity, because those games are in their original form. I don't know if you guys saw on my Instagram last night, but I watched the opening movie to Sonic CD, which on the Sega CD version is a lot more choppy. The animation quality is not the best compared to like the PC port or later ports of the game. But that's how it looked like on the actual Sega CD, the system it was originally designed for. So props to Sega for keeping it as authentic as humanly possible. And the whole system runs great. I found a new game on there that I'm actually really having fun with called Crusader of Senti, which is a Zelda-esque game on the Sega Genesis that thankfully a lot of people are paying attention now, because it's like, hey, this game is actually really good and it's actually really fun.
That's cool.
So yeah, Sega, I mean, both mini consoles, Sega knocked it out of the park. I mean, there's a few things I wish they added, but besides that, it's still a solid system. Definitely, if you're a Sega nerd and you want to relive some classic Sega games, definitely get it while you can.
Sega.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's my week.
All right. Shall we do our news? Bread and butter.
Yum, yum, yum.
Put some bread and butter in my belly.
That was my cat. He said that. I didn't say that. What a weirdo.
What a weirdo. All right. So WB stuff.
By the way, I love what you wrote on this. On the I went to the drive to watch the trailers before we did the show today, and the second I saw fucking WBD, I was like, oh no, what did they do now?
It's everything. It's every week with these fuckers.
Seriously, I was just like scrolling. I was like skimming through this. I was like, hold up, they're doing that, and I have words.
All right, so
Tesla can lick my butthole.
The cat said it.
The cat said it. So Snowpiercer, had it was a great movie. Apparently, great TV show. I haven't had a chance to catch it.
It's on its 4th season, so it's got to be good, right?
Right. So the 4th season was going to be its final season. It was filmed. It's in the can. I'm sure there's still some editing and VFX work to be done, but still, it was filmed. That TNT had renewed it for a 4th and final season, and under normal circumstances, it would air.
Yeah.
But we are currently living in a very weird and quite frankly dangerous place when it comes to television, and Warner Brothers Discovery has decided not to air it. So the series has now been scrapped and will be but Tomorrow Studios, who has it, are able to shop it around to other studios. A finished season should be able to be picked up by someone.
And it's the final season. That's like almost like free money right there. I mean,
Right.
obviously it's not free, but like that's a lot less work to actually like make a show than it is like buy a show.
Right. But this is insane that they did this again.
Yeah, and again, it's like just like Westworld, like didn't get its final season. Like, is this a show that like just is not just going to get its final? It's just like we filmed it and it's bye. That's it. Sorry, fans.
Right.
It's just shitty.
When has it ever been a thing where you film something and it doesn't happen? Well, sure, there's like movies
After
like
all.
Cabin. Well, seriously, but like before this, like there were movies like Cabin in the Woods that stayed on the shelf for a while, but they were eventually released.
That's the thing. Like there are a bunch of movies that like we don't know that this happens to, but like a lot of January movies, let's say. Oh, there's one, Take Me Out Tonight, the Topher Grace movie. That was on the shelf for almost like 5 years. Because one, it's a totally just fine movie, but like it was really like grotesque and had a lot of cocaine, and the movie studio was afraid of it. And then it came out, and by the time it came out, it wasn't a big deal because every movie's like that now. Even if a movie's bad, like it deserves to come out. Like it's still an artist trying to make something. So it's like
You paid
TV
the
show
money.
like this, that's good. Like it's just so stupid. So stupid.
You paid the money to make the series. You're supposed to get money back when it airs.
The thing is, I think like probably the show was like so far gone by the time Zaslav took over. So like now that it's like, all right, we're done, we're ready to let's start like let's get that season in the gear, HBO or TNT. They're like, well, hold on, we don't want it. We don't want it anymore.
More tax write-offs. Ben, do you have anything you want to say about this?
It sucks.
No business.
It really does. Really, the only thing I don't know where Zaslav's main office is, so this is probably just a moot point. But I just see myself like going down, like eventually when I do go to Universal to Nintendo World, because you know how you can see the Warner Bros. Lot from it.
Just pick any window, just any
where you
window,
going
and I'm
with
sure you'll get it.
just like walk down and just flip them off. That's all I want to do, because all this is just so completely BS. There are fans of that show who are robbed of a season that I've heard is a really decent show. It's really decent. And the fact that they're not getting it, and the fact that it's made, the sheer fact that it is done is just mind-boggling. That Zaslav won't get off his stupid ass and just release the goddamn thing. But now these producers, the people who worked on the show, now have to go on social media. They have to fight for some other studio to pick it up, which I hope to God it does. But the fact that Zaslav is still pissing away opportunities like this, the fact that it's done, it just goes back to the Batgirl crap. Batgirl was done, or it was this close to being done, and he decided, lol, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm an idiot.
Well, it's again because like he looks at a spreadsheet and he doesn't see whether it's good or bad. He doesn't see like people making art. He's like, cool, this isn't going to make me as much money as I want, so we're just not going to release it. And when you're a businessman, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're dealing with like the art industry, maybe think a little.
I don't mean to throw Velma under the bus.
You can't. It's okay.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I've not heard good things. But like something like that comes out when something like this doesn't. Like, where is? I'm sure, like Ryan said, it's a spreadsheet. Scooby-Doo will make more money than Snowpiercer. So we release the Scooby-Doo thing and the Snowpiercer thing gets to go. I'm sure that's what it is. But like, we all know that studios and executives are only in it for the money. We get it. We know this. Mm-hmm. But we don't like having our noses rubbed in it.
No, we don't.
And that's what Zaslav keeps doing every damn week.
Yeah, essentially.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Zaslav and Bob Chapek. I mean, Chapek messed up royal, but at the same time, both him and Chapek, or Zaslav and Chapek, are doing things that are just absolutely bonkers, that CEOs of companies that are I want to say they used to be revered companies. People had so much respect for these companies and for these.
Hold on. Remember, Chapek is gone. Iger is back.
Yeah, Chapek is gone.
So he did not. Now here's the thing. Chapek didn't destroy Disney's image. He was close. Right. I'm sure he could have given 5 years, but he didn't. And Iger is back. Zaslav, Warner Brothers is celebrating its centennial, and they're doing it by cutting and getting tax write-offs.
So is Disney. Disney is also.
But see, that's why I said it.
Close to the same though.
Not right, exactly. You were 100% right.
They're not canceling movies that Marvel made when they're like in pre like they're not canceling Shang-Chi 2 after it's done filming. Right. That's not something Disney does.
And so that's the thing that, like, yes, Ben, you are correct. Both Disney and Warner Bros. Are celebrating the centennials. But the only reason why I didn't bring up Disney centennial and I did Warner Bros. Centennial is because Warner Bros. Centennial is the one that is relevant to this conversation because it is the one that is actively being hurt. Disney's isn't. Disney's fine now. Disney, we don't have to worry about Disney anymore.
No,
Warner Brothers is being actively destroyed from within.
No, the reason why I brought Disney in the first place is because the clear difference between Disney and Warner Bros. Is that Disney noticed that how bad Chapek was doing, and they decided to take action and get him the F out. Whereas over on the other side, Warner Brothers just doesn't give a shit. Their executives, whoever's running that company, okay, we know who's running the company, but the people below him, the board of directors, the other people who are supposed to put him in check, are not doing jack shit.
If you've listened to us talk about this before, like at the end of the day, again, it's always about money. But the thing that I respect Disney about, no matter how bad they are always out to make a good product for people who want to see it. They're not out to scam you. They're not, I mean, in different ways. If you go to a Disney park, it's a different story. But like they put out so many Marvel movies, so many of these, like, you know, princess movies, sci-fi movies, whatever, Star Wars movies, because people come, they want to watch them. If we pay for it, we'll make more of them. And that's how business works. We know it's a business. We're not pretending that Hollywood is not, not for just art.
And to your point, Iger was really good about knowing that if you make a good product, you will make more money.
Yeah.
There's a video
that's where the quality control for Disney came from.
Yeah, there's a video. I don't know if you guys saw it, but
go ahead, Ben.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say there was a video I saw this week that I think all of us would enjoy. So I'll put it in the text thread later. It's like one of the I don't want to spoil it, but it's essentially Bob Iger facing off against Bob Chapek with Mickey Mouse, essentially not really cussing him out, but like saying all the bad shit that he's done to ruin Disney. Yeah, I'll send that video. But
I just look at Snowpiercer. Ben, have you seen the movie Snowpiercer?
I have not. That's the one with Chris Evans, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Ryan, you have, I assume. Great movie. I love that movie. And I was really excited for that TV show, and 4 seasons passed by, and I completely forgot about it.
TV shows are bigger investment.
Yeah. So I did want to watch it, but like, what's next? Is Snowpiercer being taken off of HBO Max?
Well, here's the thing. They did it to Westworld, which is a considerably bigger show.
Exactly.
So like it's like they're not going to take Game of Thrones off because that is the biggest show like ever made. But like at this point, until somebody stops him, literally anything could be on the chopping block. Yeah. Like literally anything.
Brandon, I just had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Both Warner Brothers and Six Flags are in the same disarray that no one wants to go to those things anymore.
Well, Six Flags is owned by Warner Brothers. Yeah. But anyway, look forward to Velma season 2 next year.
Oh, God, that already got renewed for a season 2.
No, what happened was they had already planned a certain amount of episodes, and then they decided to call one season 1 and 2. They did that. Netflix got in trouble for this when Cuphead was renewed for season 2. Because let's say you order 10 episodes, but they release 5, and then they make the news, hey, season 2 coming, and you get all the press release, and you're like,
that's what happened to me. Because I'm like, oh, it's season 2 of Cuphead. Like, no, it's just the second part.
Yeah, it's just second part of season 1.
Yeah.
That actually, Invincible was really smart when they were renewed for season 2. It's like, it'll take us years to animate this. We did not have more than this already done.
You got a full that season. You hold your horses.
Yeah, it's like when it's the same thing, like kind of like the same thing when Rick and Morty.
Yeah, well, yeah, Rick and Morty similarly was renewed for 70 episodes. Yes.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, they still have the season order, the series order, I guess.
You think the main voice actor of both those characters is still going to be voicing those characters?
I mean, it's still Warner Brothers.
Bro, that guy's going to jail.
So Ezra Miller supposedly is still the Flash.
Bro, that's
He
They're
started
two
a cult.
different
Ezra Miller
calibers.
started a cult. I'm just saying.
True.
no,
Ezra
I
Miller's-
did, but they are very different people. That's
Yeah.
two
I know.
different
I agree. I agree that yes, it's highly. I would like to believe in the goodness of Warner Brothers to be like, okay, yeah, you're going to jail. We're not going to work on bailing you out, and we're done.
Yeah.
But I also know that David Zaslav's a maniac who will probably find a way to bail him out and get him working again. Because Rick and Morty is a very popular show.
No, it is. I just, man, after the week that guy's had, I don't see anyone wanting to work with him ever again.
Yeah, you'd hope. I really hope.
Yeah.
Speaking of Warner Bros. Discovery, however, the Justin Roiland stuff wasn't in the news, but it should have been. And so, that.
Hey,
Fuck
he's a
'em.
creep. Don't watch those shows anymore, please.
Warner Bros. Discovery is looking to sell their entire music library. I don't necessarily know what that means. It's estimated to cost. It's
like the scores of their movies, like Dune.
yeah. It's the
Yeah.
score. It's the movie scores. It's all the stuff that they like. It's it's soundtracks. It's music from popular artists that they own. Like Disney has Buena Vista Records, I believe, still. And it is a value estimated at $1 billion.
That's a lot of money. But
That's a
like,
lot of money.
what the hell's like Paramount gonna do with like somebody's theme song? Like what? Like
Right, exactly. I mean, like I guess from now on you'd have to outsource music from other studios or from other record labels, and I guess that seems more profitable.
what's a big Warner Brothers movie theme song? Superman, John Williams Superman theme.
Yeah.
Is that going to be owned by like Disney now, and they're just going to be able to use that when what's the point of like I understand they need money, but like throwing away like your music legacy? What are we doing now? What are we doing? This is baffling.
The only way that this can make sense to me is if they are selling off the rights to music from popular artists that are not connected in any way whatsoever to their properties or franchises, stuff like that.
Yes, that would make sense.
Yeah, but like say I'm 99% sure Van Halen was under the Warner Brothers record label when they started out. And so that means that that Warner Bros. Could sell the rights to the music rights to Van Halen, and then let's say Sony scoops up the rights, and then they reprint the records again. It's like,
but
hey,
see, you're right.
I don't know.
You're right, Ben. That makes sense. Selling things like soundtracks doesn't make a lot of sense because you'd have to license that music from a new company from now on, rather than just using your own library. Yeah. That's weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
They're spending more money in the long term if they're going to continue to make movies and TV shows.
Right.
Exactly.
They're getting rid of their own. Whatever, man.
It's like, hey, how many soundtracks does Danny Elfman have with Warner Brothers for doing superhero shit? But let's talk about
all of them.
Let Danny Elfman's Batman score. If like Disney buys that up, they're going to squeeze Warner Brothers for the rights to use it.
I mean, it's likely that they wouldn't be able, due to antitrust laws, they might not be able to sell it to other studio. They'd have to do it to another record label. Whatever record label is not owned by a studio at this point.
Which is
whatever,
not a lot.
Pinch and pennies, however you need to. Let's sell all of our music. Why not?
This might not come to pass, admittedly. It is just something they're looking to do. So
honestly,
weird.
Why do you want to kill Water Tower music? Just why do you want to kill Water Tower music, Zaslav? Why?
Ben, I'll tell you why. It's a spreadsheet. He doesn't care about Water Tower music.
See, that's the thing. I'm honestly surprised that I get it. Zaslav must look at DC Comics as like a story farm. But I'm shocked that DC Comics hasn't been discussed to be sold at this point.
Yeah, because it is absolutely for Marvel too. Like comics don't make any money anymore.
Right.
This isn't the 90s anymore. Boy howdy.
And everyone who ran Warner Brothers before was always willing to flip the bill for the fact that comics are probably not doing so well. And they always looked at him as like an investment. But like Zaslav is so insane. I do not put it past him being like, all right, DC Comics, you're gone. Bye.
I have
to imagine that DC Comics itself doesn't make him money. But then he looks at all the superhero movies for the next 10 years that he's going to make with James Gunn. And he's like, yeah, that could stay around for 10 years. We'll see how it goes then.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Action Comics 1051 coming out soon.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, I'm looking forward to that, honestly.
Zaslav is a Fucking idiot.
All right, Agatha Covenant of Chaos. We're no longer talking about Warner Brothers.
Thank God.
Talking about witches.
Agatha Covenant of Chaos. We'll see the return of David Payton, David Lengel, Asif Ali, Amos Glick, Brian Brightman, and Kate Forbes, who were all in WandaVision and will now be in Agatha.
Those are just more of the townspeople. Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, sure.
I know one of them is the guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Alright.
last week was Deborah Jorup from that 70s show, so everyone's back.
That 90s show.
Oh, I heard
Oh,
not
I
good things
love
about
Kitty.
that show.
I haven't seen that 70s show, so
For
I
a
wanna. I
long
just
time.
want to believe. I want to
Yeah.
believe. Like that.
Jack Schaefer, who directed WandaVision, Ganja Montero, who directed episodes of Wednesday, and Rachel Goldberg, who directed episodes of Mayans MC, will direct episodes for Agatha Covenant of Chaos.
Oh,
Cool.
damn,
Those
they
are
got
all
Mayans.
good shows.
They got Mayans MC director. God damn, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's
They
not
got
bad.
Tim Burton.
There is a Harley Quinn and the Joker audio story coming from Spotify. DC and Spotify have teamed up for Harley Quinn and the Joker Sound Mine, which will release at the end of this month, the 31st. It will detail a new version of Harley Quinn's origin with Christina Ricci playing Harley, Billy Magnuson playing Joker, and Justin Hartley playing Bruce Wayne.
That's
Huh.
pretty good. That's pretty good casting.
That's a good cast, I think.
Pretty good cast.
Wait,
Christina
Justin
Ricci.
Hartley. Remind
Green
me of
Arrow.
Justin Hartley. There we go.
Original. The OG.
The original from Smallville. That guy. Yep, got it.
And he played Superman in Injustice. He played Superman in Injustice, so that's cool.
There you go.
Not
I-
the game, the animated movie.
The animated. Oh, okay. I was gonna say like, oh, good for that guy, but I'm like, wait, those are all the Justice League people.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to all of because there's at this point there's a lot, but like both DC and Marvel are putting a lot of effort and time and money into like these audio dramas, and they're not cheap. They're not just like, hey, here's a dude talking. Like they're full on like produced. Like you hear people walking and like cliffs are blah, 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 blah. Like it's good stuff. I know like
Ooh.
Sparks like that Batman one he recently listened to.
Yeah.
I want to go back and finish the second Wolverine one because I remember listening to the first Wolverine one, and that first Wolverine one was what was it? The Long Night.
The Long Night. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Armitage's Wolverine was just so goddamn good.
He live action no, but he's got a great voice. Great
Oh
voice.
no, yeah, no, animated
He's
hell,
feeling
animated
it.
hell, yeah. I mean, I'm the whole time I have to keep talking to myself like this is not only Thor Oakenshield, but it's also Trevor Belmont, and this
Oh,
is
yeah.
freaking amazing.
He's got such a good voice. Yeah.
He does. He
You know,
does.
Castlevania needed a better audio director. Anyway,
Yeah. Man, I gotta finish that. Dang it.
me too. I'm only halfway through the fourth season.
Why? It's too much to watch.
I know. But yeah, Christina Ricci and Billy Magnuson are great picks for Harley and Joker. Billy Magnuson especially. And Justin Hartley, I love him. So like him as Bruce Wayne rules.
Yeah, this does sound something I would like to listen to because like hearing the Joker, like I'm assuming it's gonna be Harley at Arkham, but it's like a new twist on it. But like it's that story
Yeah.
of he converting her and stuff. So like I'm super into hearing those two people do that thing, and then also Batman's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Interestingly, they say he's cast as Bruce Wayne. Maybe there's no Batman yet.
Oh,
Or there is
Oh,
a
but
Batman. There is a Batman, but he's not in the story.
Yeah. Ooh. He just shows up. It's me. Goodbye.
It's me on Batman.
It's me. It's Justin Hartley.
Groot. A new 4-issue miniseries
I am.
from Dan Abnett.
Ah!
With art by Damien Cocero.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's going to be a 4-issue miniseries and will tie into the new Guardians series and will tell a new origin or the origin of Groot. I don't think we've actually seen the Groot's origin at this point.
He's from Planet X, and that's what we've known for 60 years.
And they recently revealed that the gardener was the reason why he couldn't say anything other than "I am Groot."
He's been talking. I don't know if I like Groot talking. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe just because I'm so used to him being I am Groot, but him like having conversations, I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it was was it Empire that revealed that?
I do not remember at this point.
Yeah.
I just remember he was
Um,
talking in like the latest run or whatever.
I was reading Donny Cates' run as on Guardians, and that was like just after he got his voice back. He was starting to talk, and I was like, "This is weird."
You gotta get used to it.
Yeah. So here's what it says. Before he was a Guardian of the Galaxy, before the Groot Fall, which is the next event for Guardians, young Groot lived a life of tranquility on a serene home world. But when monstrous invaders attack his planet, Groot must accept his heroic destiny. But will this destiny lead him to come to blows with a young Kree soldiers by the name of Marvel?
So first of all, I saw that Captain Marvel, who stayed dead since the 80s when he died of cancer, which is awesome. One of the only characters who stayed dead. I love that. This is really cool. I don't know if I need, because like originally, like it's like in comics, I'm like, oh, Groot was like an invader from a long time ago, but like don't worry about it. Like he's the monster from Planet X. Like there's that famous like old comic. So if they're gonna retcon them, like, oh, actually these other people were the invaders and he was just there. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care about it that much.
They're probably just going to make it so that invader from Planet X was a different Groot.
Yeah, it's his brother, Grot.
It's his dad.
I am excited. I am excited for one, Dan Abnett's coming back because that dude is a great writer for everything, especially the Guardians. But like, I'm excited for this Guardians Groot Fall idea. Like, I hope it's not just like, oh, it's just a bunch of evil Groot. I hope it's more than that. But also, like, if it is, that could be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next run of Guardians comics a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Storm is getting a new 5-issue miniseries.
By the winds.
Written by Ann Nocenti, with art by Sid Koshin. Koshin, probably.
I guess that sounds fancier. Spicy.
It will delve into Storm's fan favorite punk era. So this is kind of in the vein of the Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four comic, or the Peter David is doing.
It's actually more like X-Men Legends because it's all the old writers coming back, and Nocenti is a writer from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So like she's writing 80s Storm again. So it's just basically like, I'm going back to the stories I used to write because I'm 16
right.
now.
That's what they said in the press release, which is like, in the vein of those comics where we've had like Peter David come back and do stories from the past, but like continue. Chris Claremont with X-Men Legends, as you mentioned.
New Fantastic Four, I think, is what he's doing right now.
New Fantastic Four, which is the like Wolverine. There's a bunch of Maestro. That's the guy's name. Maestro comics that are kind of in the same vein.
I don't know who's buying them, but he's had like 3 miniseries.
I know, it's weird. Anyway, so this is going to go back into the past, into Storm's punk era, but by Ann Nocenti. The upcoming series will see Storm's Omega-level mutant gifts evolve in a radical way, causing her to lose control at a pivotal time in her journey as leader of the X-Men. In the tumultuous journey that follows, fans will see Storm confront a new nemesis, perform breathtaking, never-before-seen feats, and even fall in love.
Ooh.
Interesting.
It's always fun meeting a new nemesis that we don't know about 40 years later.
Right?
This is at once really, really cool because Ann Nocenti, who like I said earlier, she's a older writer. She did not get the love. She wrote some X-Men stuff. She wrote a great Daredevil run. She created Typhoid Mary. Like, she was a prominent writer of the 80s, and she did not get any credit because she was a woman at Marvel or any woman in the comic industry. Like, it's unfortunately up until like the last couple of years where people are like, oh damn, Ann Nocenti is actually awesome. So it's really great that she's getting to write this. On the other hand, we don't have a lot of black writers writing black characters, so we would like some black writers to write some black characters instead of keep giving it to the same white people. Even if it's an old white person, I appreciate it. But Storm hasn't had a miniseries in a while, so I'm happy that that's happening because she is the coolest X-Men.
There's a lot more excitement around this than there was for, let's say, New Fantastic Four or the Symbiote Spider-Man series. I forgot those were the other ones.
That's right, yeah. Also, Peter David is not nearly as loved as Anna.
Right, exactly. So, like, this is at least this is a beloved writer, especially like a more recently beloved writer coming back to write the story. So,
yeah, I'll at least check the first issue out for sure.
Yeah. Trailers.
We're
already in the trailer park.
We're back in the trailer park. Oh my god.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
We say it every week, but Spider-Verse was the best thing to happen in animation.
Yeah, it was.
Because this isn't obviously like 3D like it is, but it has like the cool style of it.
It definitely has the soul of that animation style.
Yeah.
This looks really cute. This looks adorable.
This isn't Disney Plus. This is like straight up Disney Channel.
Yeah,
right?
This
Disney
is,
XD. I would 100% watch this if this were on Disney Plus. I don't have cable. I'm sure they have it somewhere downstairs, but I don't want to do that. Like,
I want to
come to Disney Plus.
Yeah, it is coming to Disney. It is coming. I'm still waiting for season 3 of the Owl House to come to Disney Plus. Disney Animation, man, they've like the years past that I haven't really started watching it. Thanks to Spark's recommendations and just like hearing good shit online. Don't throw them on or don't sleep on Disney Animation. So Moon Girl Double Dinosaur is definitely something I would say to keep an eye out. That's some.
I think
good
the
shit.
I think the animation is really good. Honestly, great. I think that the storyline that they've done is a good adaptation of the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur comics. I did read the first arc ages and ages ago, and I'm glad they took away the sad part, which is that the reason why Devil Dinosaur is in the future is because Moon Boy, who was his partner in the past, is dead. So like. If that is in the show, I'd be surprised. But it's a good way to. He does have to get there, but like you can make it an accident. Moon Girl accidentally makes a time machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So like, looks really good, looks really fun. I love Devil Dinosaur, so it's really cool to see him get a show, especially even if it's a kid's show. This looks very charming. It's got a lot of personality to it, which you love to see when it comes to animation.
Oh yeah.
There's a great line. Why do we call the Avengers? Like the Avengers don't come past 14th Street.
Yeah.
Like I gotta be. This kind of gives me like Luke Cage vibes, where like no one's gonna protect this city but me. And I think that's just really cool. And like it's just
or at
like,
least
man,
that
like,
part of or at least that part of the city at least. That part of the city.
Yeah. Just having it's cool to have a show about a dinosaur, but to have it look this good, not just visually, but like it looks like the quality is there. Like the writing is really crisp. Like her and her little friend, like she makes her super outfit and she's like, yeah, you did the thing. He's like, yeah, you go do the thing. And I'm like, it's just like, it feels really charming and really fun. And again, like, I'm glad it's on a regular TV channel. So all those kids who don't have, streaming services can watch it, but I want to watch it on Disney Plus. So I'll wait for that.
There's a way that adults write kids that if you don't do it well, especially like modern teenagers, like modern kids under 13 or whatever, like adults doing that, if you don't do it well, can feel very jarring. But I think what's really interesting is when you get a writer who does it well, which this show looks like it will. It doesn't feel like, if you hear it doesn't feel so cringy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It feels natural. There's
a writer I love, Mark Waid. His act's gotten older because he's been writing for a while now. He did a run on the Champions where he's writing all teenagers. And when you have an old white man writing all teenagers, you start to notice it after a couple issues. Like, man, that is not what we sound like. That is not what young people sound like, Mr. Waid. I'm sorry. So like, it is nice to have like someone who like who keeps up with the youth. So like, it doesn't sound like that's not what kids sound like.
Mark Waid is essentially Steve Buscemi. How you doing, fellow kids?
Well, I mean, that was also the issue with Brian Michael Bendis when he wrote John Kent. Like his John Kent felt very much like teenager from 2001, maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately, like the older you get, like the further you get away from young people, so you don't know what they actually sound like.
Which is a bummer because I still really enjoyed his Young Justice run. Dang it.
That's fine. Good. You can enjoy that Young Justice run. Yo, he wrote teenagers in All New X-Men. I like that book.
Yeah,
that's
fun. Oh no, I'm not saying he can't write teenagers. I'm just like, dang it, he missed the mark on the big ones.
But I will say, like, I didn't like his Young Avengers run because he had a very "how do you do, fellow kids" energy about it.
Fellow children.
So I'm glad you liked it, though. That's really cool. Young
Justice.
Justice.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. Junji Ito, Maniac. Japanese Tales of the Macabre.
Man, I was really enjoying this trailer, and then it started getting real fucked up, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like all the voices. Ben, I know you love that part, right?
Of the flashing images of the corpses,
and it reminded me of Evangelion's like previous on Evangelion, and just like so many things happening at once, and there's screaming and blood.
What definitely got me was how it starts off. Kind of happen, like it's an anthology series, so I assume they're just doing cuts from all the different shorts or the different episodes they're gonna make. And just as the trailer, because I was watching this with Fanny, because Fanny has been really wanting to dip her toes in Junji Ito. Like she wants to get one of the books by him where he adopts a cat.
Oh yeah.
So definitely the more I was watching this trailer, the more the lower the fun, happy music died down and the more screaming and anguished voices started rising. It's like, I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's good. There's so much like regular, like it looks like sometimes it's just regular life happening, and then you get like a really goofy looking guy or like a deranged cat.
Friends have melted.
My friends have melted. Yeah, there's some there's one thing that is very clearly like Junji Ito obviously is like he's done his own thing, but there's one very clear Lovecraft inspired thing, and it's an ancient beast lands on the beach or washes on the beach, and there's a video game that I played a couple years ago called The Call of Cthulhu, and it's based off of one of his short stories where a primordial beast washes on the shore and it corrupts the entire town and turns them into monsters, basically. And I'm just, that idea is so cool. Like the monster is so old and beyond our reasoning. Just looking at it like warps us, and it's like, oh, I'm near this thing. I'm a different person now, and like I'm evil now. And that is awesome. I love bad vibes. This looks like all the bad vibes. And it's got
what was that game called?
Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Cthulhu. Check that out. Actually, that sounds rad.
It's good. It's like a role playing like talkie game. It's not much action. It's mostly talking and like detective work.
All right. Bo is Afraid.
Grant, another one that messed me up.
Oh yeah, we saw Midsommar together, didn't we, Ben?
Yeah, we did. And the second this trailer started, and I saw from the mind behind Midsommar and Hereditary, I'm like, oh great, another A24. Let's fuck with your mind.
Yeah,
this is great.
Yeah, like. So it takes place like during the apocalypse, like something terrible's happening to the world. It's like The Walking Dead's happening. And Bo has to go see his mom. That's the story. Bo's got to go see his mom.
And he gets hit by Nathan Lane.
And the lady from The Office.
And
then they kidnap him because, like, I guess like they might have they could have killed him, so they don't want to go to jail. Who knows? But then like he goes on an acid trip and like he's like in an animated world for a little bit. Like, no,
he's in like he's a 3D, a real person in like a cardboard cutout world.
Yeah.
A la Paper Mario, kinda, and then you have him screaming and yelling, and then you have stuff with Nathan. I don't know what the flying frack I was watching. I know the entire time I watched this trailer, I'm like, Ryan's gonna love this, Brandon's probably gonna enjoy this, and they're gonna definitely love watching me squirm when we see this movie.
So
it's not a horror movie though.
I have not seen Hereditary, but I really, really like Midsommar.
Midsommar did screw me up.
So I'm thinking I got good chances of liking this one.
And this definitely is like it feels almost like an adventure movie, like a modern, like this dude's got to see his mom, but it's also like at the end of the world. And I'm like, because it's like fun.
And it says like one of the title cards is like from Ari Aster's Nightmares. Mm-hmm. So like this is still like him trying to give us a look inside of what he dreams about at night.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix, always good. I'm not worried about that dude giving a good performance.
Me either.
It's always fun because, like, what's his name? Damien Chazelle put out Babylon last month, which nobody saw. But that is a movie that is unlike anything he's ever made before. It's like people are saying it's like anti-La La Land. Like, it is crude and gross and weird. And I'm like, oh, I gotta see that. So I'm like, the fact that Ari Aster is like, I make horror movies, but what if I also make a weird adventure movie about a guy who's gonna go see his mom? I'm like, yeah, okay. I will buy one ticket, please. Thank you.
And then throw in all the horror elements in there too, just because why not?
History of the World, Part 2.
I never thought I would ever see this in my life.
I never thought we'd get here.
This is so ridiculous.
I know I've seen clips from History of the World Part 1. I want to say it was it biggest? No, that was Monty Python. Oh no.
That's Monty Python. That's Monty Python and the Life of Brian.
Yeah, Life of Brian, that's right. Now I'm going to enjoy a Mel Brooks double feature-ish.
So, let me just say, it is incredible that we are weeks away from a new Mel Brooks TV series. Brilliant. I never thought we'd be here.
Four-part event.
Four-part. Mel Brooks. Love it. Real quickly, Ben, though. The end of History of the World Part 1 ends with a tease for History of the World Part 2. Like that's, and so the joke is that History of the World Part 2 coming next summer. It's never that was the joke for the longest time, is that we never made History of the World. Part 2.
So it's like Spaceballs 2, the quest for more money.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So like at the end of that movie, they're like, and coming up at History of the World Part 2, and it's like a bunch of quick sketches. So like now that we're finally doing History of the World Part 2, and we have some incredible comedians in this show.
every comedian is in this movie.
Pretty much.
Like everybody, every single
Josh.
scene. It's like that's a famous person. That's a famous person.
And some of the new blood from that show that's incredibly popular, that sitcom that won a bunch of Golden Globes. What is that show?
Abbott
called?
Elementary.
Abbott Elementary.
Great show.
Who are wonderful actors and comedians, and they're in the show also, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
I just love Wanda Sykes' Harriet Tubman. She's like, how the hell did these people enslave us?
Yeah. God, again, like you said it there, Brennan. Like we're getting a new Mel Brooks thing, which is crazy, and like. Blazing Saddles comes out, and then like decades later, people are like, you can't make jokes like that anymore. And I'm like, I'm about to watch like 4 hours of that shit. Like,
Right.
you can be funny and not be mean about it. Like, you can be crude and make fun of people, but you can be funny about it. You don't have to be mean about it. So like, I am over the moon. Will this be good? I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know.
I hope so,
but I'm predicting a good time regardless.
I enjoy Mel Brooks. I'm just glad that Mel Brooks is still alive and he's still kicking. He's still doing fun stuff.
He got one more out. Thank God.
He's got one more. Yeah, he's got
like
one
600.
more. I know that dude's like 11D. And I just love like how he introduced it. He had to check the inside of his coat pocket to make sure what his name was. It's like,
I mean, he's
Brooks,
delightful. Man. He's delightful to watch. The last thing he was actively involved in as a creator was the remake of The Producers, the musical that came out in 2008.
Yeah. Did you ever do Spaceballs, the animated show?
No, I don't believe so.
God, I love that producer.
I heard nothing but bad things, so I hope not. So I hope he won't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I don't know. But anyway, so like it's really I'm choosing to hope that I'm choosing to believe that this is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's tough. It's tough when you get someone who's 94 years old, who's an aging director, aging comedian to kind of come in. But it's also like, as you said, like. The people who say that you could never do Blazing Saddles today are the people who didn't understand Blazing Saddles. Like Blazing Saddles is not a bad-natured comedy making fun of it. It's a good-natured comedy with some bad language in it that hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
You could do Blazing Saddles today.
Yes.
You just have to kind of like iron some things out.
Maybe don't say the N-word.
Maybe don't say the N-word a bunch. Exactly.
I mean, that's a baseline.
Yeah. But like Blazing Saddles is still a very funny comedy.
Yeah.
And so like History of the World Part 2 has the potential to kind of like show people like, Mel Brooks has aged and has gone and has evolved at the times. Now, admittedly, he's probably not writing every episode. He probably only had a creative hand in maybe some of it.
Yeah.
But still, like, it's still very exciting that we're a couple weeks away from a Mel Brooks show.
Yeah. And it's like happening so soon. It's not like it's coming out in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
March,
like,
I believe.
That's so soon. That is a couple weeks.
All right.
And I figured it'd be just like, it's like an 80-minute movie, but like, no, it's 4. I'm guessing hour long. I'm gonna have to assume they're hour long.
Either
I would assume.
I would assume either an hour or 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Give or take.
I like John Turturro. So you want me to make Jesus white? That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say that at all.
He's like, that's not
thumbs
what
up. Like it. That's not what we want at all.
I don't often get to say it because like one, like it's inappropriate and like why would I ever say it? But my favorite line from Blazing Saddles is "Where are the white women at?" I think about the line all the time because I just think it's really funny.
Me too. My favorite is same scene. My favorite is like, we just got back from a lynching. Hold on, let me just wash his hands. See, it's wearing off.
Okay. What a movie.
Honestly. Okay, since we're talking, all right. Besides that line, one of my favorites is like, "See this hand? Yeah, solid as rock. Yeah, this is my shooting hand.
This is the hand I shoot with."
Good comedy.
There's a clip that floats around online every now and then of Gene Wilder, who's a comedic genius. But it's the one where I think it's an anthology movie where he is approached by a guy, a doctor, but he's a doctor, and the guy says, "I have sex with sheep," and it's just him. For 5 minutes, just silently processing what has just been spoken to him. And he's just, It's so good. Gene Wilder is a wonderful. Gene Wilder is a wonderful comedian. Watch Gene Wilder movies.
Yeah,
He's brilliant.
One more Mel Brooks thing because it's one of my because I absolutely love this movie. It's been a long time since I last seen it, but in Robin Hood Men in Tights, when it's the opening, and besides like the "Leave us alone, Mel Brooks," when when the credits are rolling and everything's on fire, it's the prison scene where all the hands are coming up from the thing, and the Inquisitor just like whips all the hands they walk through, and then all the hands raise up, they're flipping them off. Like, that had me cackling, as well as like when he misses it goes like, wait, let me see the script. I
lost. Wait, I get another shot.
I love that movie so much.
Real quickly, one more Mel Brooks. One more thing.
One more.
We could be here all day talking about some wonderful Mel Brooks jokes, but there's one that
scratch out God of War Ragnarok, put Mel Brooks Appreciation Hour.
There's one joke that I always go to, and it's his remake of 12 Chairs, which is an older movie. He did a remake of a movie called 12 Chairs, and it's one of the few it's one of the few projects that he's been involved with that he didn't write explicitly. He plays a Polish performer who become like Nazi occupied Poland. And they're enacting a plan to get out of Poland and a Jewish family with them, and they're going to help a Jewish family get out of there. This is a comedy, by the way. It's a very weird comedy, and so like every time he goes to open the curtain where the Jews are in, I'm Jewish, I can say some of these words. He goes, there's always more Jews. Every time he opens the credits, it's like 3 Jews and then 6 Jews, and every single time there's always more Jews. And then the final one, they're getting ready to enact their plan. It's like, okay, how many we got? Shh. What are they, Jews or rabbits? And I think about that, I kid you not, every day. All right.
Honestly, I don't think I've laughed at something like that since when I saw the Producers and the Pigeons did the Nazi salute.
The Producers is a very good movie. I like the remake of the Producers a lot.
I love that. That movie got me to love the Producers. It got me to love Mel Brooks, but we've been tangenting on Mel Brooks for a while. Should we move on?
Yes. I was born in Dusseldorf, and that is why they call me Rolf.
Don't be stupid. Be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party.
And that's Mel freaking Brooks.
Listen, maybe if that musical wasn't so good, we'd have less Nazis. I'm just saying.
Maybe. Who knew? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Oh,
Kang. Did you see this? Did you see the still? Did you see the still?
Like, look at me.
Look at how sexy I am.
Chilling like a villain.
Kang.
So we see an ant pile of thousands of Scott Langs. That's pretty cool. We haven't really seen. Well, we saw that. Actually, that's a lie. We did see that on Ant-Man. But seeing it with people is pretty cool. People are flacking on the CGI. I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks fine. I understand if you are like because we are inundated with so much CGI. I think it looks good. I think it looks cool. I think the quantum realm is a really cool place.
Do you want to talk about all the influx of MODOK fans that apparently exist?
Listen, MODOK is an ugly, big-faced man, and you can listen. MODOK's cool. I like MODOK. He's a cool villain, but like to say he doesn't like, what do you want him to look like? He's a big face. I don't know what you want him. He's a big face in a chair.
When we were concerned that he was just going to be a robot, we were all like, why is he a robot? Why not just make him a big face? He's a big face in a chair. We did it.
I think the thing is that he's not ugly enough. And I'm like, he's so ugly. Look at his weird face. Also, it's one image that we've seen. We haven't even seen the movie. Besides MODOK, who, by the way, we live in a world where like MODOK has had a TV show, but he's also about to appear in a multi-million-dollar movie.
Yeah.
And he's the main villain of an Avengers video game. MODOK has glowed up in like 10 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I am so excited for this movie. Because besides the fact that we're all fans of Ant-Man and those movies, this just looks like a big, fun, like ridiculous good time. And Jonathan Majors just looks like I am more excited. Like Josh Brolin, Thanos, Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
Josh Brolin. He's great. I love him. I am so much more excited to know that we have like a couple more years of Kang. Because that means, one, we're not just getting more Jonathan Majors. We're getting like 5 different types of Jonathan Majors.
And he looks so good.
Yeah.
in this movie. He looks incredible. There's at the end of the trailer when he's just beating the shit out of Scott Lang.
Oh, the big
Like,
foot down.
The big foot down, step on me, daddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like he's got like Scott's like, I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. I'm like, yeah, Scott, you're dying. But yeah, Scott.
I see.
I hope he doesn't.
I don't.
No, I don't legitimately think he does, but like Jonathan Major's a big boy.
I know what you meant.
So the thing, people are worried that like, oh, they showed the whole movie, and I feel like we literally every single Marvel trailer we do this with, and it's never true. There's always something. There's usually something that they never reveal. Maybe the only one I can think of is maybe Black Panther.
Yeah,
maybe that's the only one. But basically, every other big Disney trailer, I'm like, there's always something that they're hiding. Oh, am I breaking up? Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
you're a little.
Your video's live. Your audio's good though.
Great. You guys talk for a second.
He's still a little lagged.
Yeah,
so why don't you bring up Grayson's comment while he catches up?
Will do. So Grayson said, just to make more people angry, Hank Phil equals MODOK. He'll be pretty and people might be upset because you don't get to see his body. Clearly joking.
Well, that'd be kind of funny.
Would.
I think that this movie, as Ryan said, we all like Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a great movie. We'll die on that hill. I'll happily die on that hill.
No, you're not the only one who'll die on the hill. I would die on the hill because I remember I was talking to an older gentleman at my job who would come to me to talk about comic book films, and he came up to me saying he did not like Ant-Man and Wasp. He said the movie was bad, and I was like, "How dare you? That movie's amazing!" And we had a decent conversation that really did not get violent, but it was. Yeah, I was like, look, it's like this, and this. This is a really well-made movie. This is clearly good character development. He was like, I don't know, I'm just like.
But what this trailer, to Ryan's point, also like what this trailer, like again, we do this with every movie. Like it clearly didn't show everything because we don't see the rest of the characters outside of Scott Lang. This is a very Scott Lang focused trailer, and we don't see what Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer are doing. We don't really see what Cassie and Wasp
Lily.
lady.
Oh, I call it. Her
Hope.
name is Evangeline Lily. Hope Van Dyne.
Hope. What they're doing.
I called her by her last name. I was like, I know, is it Lily? I was like, but that's her last name. It's Evangeline Lily.
Okay, I was on bad Wi-Fi.
You're back.
So, in the first trailer, we see a bunch of new people. There's like a cool robot man, and there's like so we kind of know what the story is. Kang's there, and then there's like a rebel group living it's where Bill Murray lives and all those other random quantum verse people, and that's who Kang is fighting. Scott teams up with them and they fight each other, but like I just don't know what else, and that's why it's really excited. There's obviously a MacGuffin, whatever Scott's trying to get, big MacGuffin. I love a good MacGuffin as long as it's good. I don't mind it. I'm just really excited, and I feel bad for Peyton Reed because he made a comment in an interview where like, I'm tired of being a palate cleanser movie. I want to make a big movie. I'm like, oh, Peyton, you make movies that everyone likes. I'm sorry you feel that way. Because a large majority of people don't care about the Ant-Man movies because they're not big and bombastic. And I'm like, that's just the wrong way to look at movies, and it bums me out. Because like you can have good fun family fun with Ant-Man, and then we also are getting Ant-Man and Quantumania. So like I won no matter what because I like those movies and I get a big one.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that like the Ant-Man movies were smaller and I like them because of that. But we're also getting Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is going to be a very big movie, and it leads directly into Secret Wars. They've talked about. I know the writer is writing King Dynasty. The writer of this is writing King Dynasty.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool, and I'm super down for that. And just the fact that it looks really good, and I hope we get more to do with some of the other characters because I think that what makes the Ant-Man film so strong are his ensemble cast. I always think Michael Douglas is great in these movies. Yeah. He's incredible in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I just want to point that out.
Michelle Pfeiffer is always is,
and we finally get to see her actually be in a movie because she was the MacGuffin of the last movie.
She was. I'm excited to see Michelle Pfeiffer. Sorry, Brandon, did you have more to say?
Well, yeah, I just want to say, like, I think the new girl who plays Cassie Lang, which is escaping me right now. Catherine Newton. I think she's going to be a lot of fun to play off as. I really like her as an actress. Interestingly enough, the trailer for Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret came out this week, which has the original actress who played Cassie, and they look very similar.
So it's the only reason they recasted her is because I wanted a bigger name, and I get it. But like, it has now officially been 5 years since the last Ant-Man movie came out. And in the timeline, it's the 5 years that he lost. And that young girl is now a young lady now, right? So like she is, first of all, Catherine Newton, she looks young, she's older than the age she's supposed to be. You could actually have the actor playing a young teenager, like being a 17, 18-year-old, because that's what she is. And it's just a bummer because she's so good. She's so charming. She is one of my favorite parts of those two movies. She's just so like it's what is it? It's so ugly. I love it. Like she's just great.
How she covers for her dad with Anthony playing the drums,
or when like
Jimmy Woo.
You are I'm the world's greatest grandma. Makes me want to use sweater.
Yeah. So like it does. That is like the only like sadness of this movie is like, man, like there's one part of me that's like, oh, this movie would have been just a little bit better if it would have been the whole cast the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm really happy we're going to live in a world where we might have like a great Ant-Man trilogy. That's awesome.
I am not worried. The only thing I would be worried about is like the kind of like what happened to Black Panther is like them forcing the MCU stuff into there. But otherwise, like I have no reason to be worried about this one. Like I'm just so excited. We're getting like a big sci-fi family movie. Like again, like Strange World gave me that, and I'm getting another one
with with what looks like an incredible performance from Jonathan Majors, who looks great as Kang.
Oh my god, Ant meet Boot.
Oh yeah,
Sam Jackson. It's all full circle.
The final beam scene that Jonathan Majors. Oh, I really like how they did
that comic book cover.
I like how they did his helmet is the reason why he's purple.
Yes.
Or blue. I thought it was blue.
Blue.
I can't see colors.
No, yeah. He has purple and blue. I will partially agree. It does not bother me, but him having nanotechnology type masks doesn't feel as important with him being from the future because most of our heroes use nanotechnology stuff right now. That is all Iron Man was, and that's like Black Panther stuff does that too. So some of the impact of him being a future man will feel a little bit lesser because he's doing the same stuff that we've seen before. But again, that doesn't really bother me. It is just a cool visual thing to do.
Yeah. It's an aesthetic thing I'm kind of over with, honestly, but like still, he looks great.
Yeah, like the nano helmet thing is like Spider-Man does that, like the Guardian, like everybody does that. And again,
Flash.
It's not like the biggest deal, but like I would like, you don't have to do.
Yeah. Sorry, Ben. Final thoughts and we'll move on.
A lot of TikTokers I've been seeing who've been watching this trailer and talking about how good this trailer is and how Ant-Man's story with time is definitely going to be a huge driving force I'm looking forward to because, he lost time when he was in prison. He lost time because he was locked up with helping Captain America. And now, of course, lost time because of Thanos snapped him away for 5 years, but he was in the quantum realm the whole time.
No, he didn't. He didn't. The fact that what I really like about it is Cassie being a criminal. It's going to take some. I guess we don't really know a lot about Cassie when we first see her in Endgame.
So she's people are speculating with what she's wearing that she's not a criminal. She has an Earth shirt on, so people are thinking she's like an environmental person who like got arrested for doing environmental stuff. So just like Scott was arrested for doing good things, like maybe she's doing the same.
Oh, that'd be a really good parallel.
That would. Yeah. So just the fact that Kang is like, hey, I can give you all that time back. I'm like, ooh, stakes.
Now, I don't think this is the case who knows? There was a really good theory that when Kang is saying you've lost all this time, Ant-Man, that he's actually talking to Michael Douglas because he's the one who lost all that time with his wife. And that he's actually going to betray them. And he will actually betray them in the end. And I think that would be so spicy. I personally think I would really like that, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. But I hope it is.
But that is also a good spicy nugget.
Why would they reveal in the trailer that Kang betrays Scott? Why are you telling us the whole story in the trailer? That's why I think there might be some truth to that one because that's spicy.
Or Kang is like double dealing.
Yeah, 100%.
It's no surprise that we're excited for an Ant-Man movie. We have talked about our love of the Ant-Man films. It's just really cool to continuously be so excited for the next Ant-Man movie. Phase 5 coming at you in 1 month.
And we still don't know that like Jackson Harper from The Good Place is in this movie as somebody, and he could just be a dude. I don't care, but like he's in this movie, and that makes me super excited.
Reed Richards. No, I'm kidding.
God, that would be That would be the. I would freak out so hard in that theater. They would hear it in Montana.
All right, so we go into our main topic now. For those of you who don't know, we are going to be doing a Basement Arcade pause menu special within the episode of Fake Nerd Podcast. So stay tuned. Shall we?
We shall. Boy. Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Me, the show where we hit pause, sit back, and just chill. I am your host, Ben Magnet, the god of video games. Here with me is Brandon T. McClure, the god of other video games, and Ryan Eliopoulos, the god of next-gen video games.
This
Thank
god
you.
chair is being a little crowded. I'm not gonna lie. I think we need to start killing some people.
Oh, we came to the right place.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so what are we meeting at the gladiatorial combat arena?
I've already killed you, Ben.
It's a different.
Ah.
No, we can't.
You're
talk about
drinking my poison now.
Oh, no. Oh, too bad I have the antidote. It's
All right, so we are talking about God of War Ragnarok, right, Ben?
Yes, we are. So this episode of Basement Arcade Pause Me, or if you're watching this live, this is technically episode 310 of the Fake Nerd Podcast, but Basement Arcade has invaded because myself, Brandon, and Ryan have played God of War Ragnarok. We are reviewing the game. I had a thing for this. God damn it. Yes, we're reviewing God of War Ragnarok. Came out at the end of 2022. I almost said 2018. Jesus Christ. And gentlemen, what do you guys? What'd you guys think?
Would you be shocked to say that this is a good video game?
Would
That shock anybody in this room?
I don't think anyone would shock it. It would shock anyone. But before we adventure on, I just want to say spoilers for God of War Ragnarok. Grayson is in the chat right now. He says, "Woo, God of War love." He beat the game, so he knows. So yeah, spoilers for God of War Ragnarok. Just laying that out there right here, right now. Sorry, Brandon, to cut you off. So what did you think about Ragnarok?
I think it is a very good game that doesn't quite hit the heights of 2018.
I agree with that 200%.
I might be the outlier. I do agree that some mechanics wise, it doesn't do anything different. But story wise, I loved it. This was like this game was number 2 on my top 15 things for a reason. This game was phenomenal. I had an absolute blast playing this game. It definitely went from I have to play it because I want to play it, and then because I was going between this and Pokemon for a little bit, but then I was like, okay, I need to beat this because for this show, and also I want to write a review for it for Fusion. And then it became, no, I want to play this. I'm not just powering through this game anymore. I want to explore. I want to try and complete this game. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we'll get into it. So should we go through the story or should we go with the game mechanics first?
Let's go with the game mechanics.
Yeah.
Because I think so. I'll get the ball rolling. I think Ryan will agree with me when I say that like it's the same gameplay from the first game. There are some differences. There's some new powers and attacks that you can do. I think I was both grateful and disappointed in that because like it felt like slipping into a glove, right? It felt like, oh right, I know how to play this game. I played this game for hours. You get right into the swing of things. Where I think it mostly falters is with the spear. You get the Dropner spear later into the game, and I like that game as a long range weapon. As a close range weapon, I think it leaves a little to be desired.
That's fair. I like it a lot. My problem, I agree with that. I think the combat is very familiar. I don't think it should take you 20 hours before you get your next weapon. That is, we've all played all the God of War games. You remember those original games? How often it's not every minute, but you were getting new weapons like every couple hours. And every single God of War game, you have multiple weapons. So I expected you to get new weapons in this game. And by the time I was like 15 hours in, I'm like, are we really not getting another weapon in this game? Is this really what we're doing? And that's not a bad thing. It's good combat, but it's very familiar.
It was definitely, I want to say with 2018's God of War, you were about 20 or so, maybe 10 hours into the game.
10 and 20 hours are very different, Ben. You need to.
Yeah, you were.
That is double the length of a game.
I think he was agreeing with. You were agreeing with Ryan, right?
Yeah, because like in God of War in 2018, you got the Blades of Chaos at the definite halfway point of the game, which was I want to say 10 hours in. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, it's also this game's double the length of the first game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely felt the length, but at the same time, I wasn't angry about the length though.
No.
But I do want to agree with Brandon where because I was thinking about this going into it about the controls and how this game plays because it's very much the same. After a while, you get used to the groove. I want to say Santa Monica Studios definitely went with a if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of motif because the problem with sequels, or not the problem with sequels, but the challenge sequels face is how do we have a great foundation? How do we make that foundation built better? Because you do have a lot of I want to say there's some games out there that do make the foundation better and they regress and make the foundation worse. There are definitely games like that. So with God
And
of
you know
War,
what? You're right. Real quickly, just to bounce into what you're saying, you're right that one of the things that I do appreciate with the game is that you don't start at zero again. Like you
Right.
don't start over. You are still a powerful person who has this axe and the blades of chaos, and you don't start from zero again. You start from a different point, but you are still you are bouncing off of what had come before, and that's a positive, I think.
essentially you don't get Metroided.
No, you know what?
Sure.
You know what game I think I don't think it's the greatest sequel ever made, but I think starting you at a base and giving you more. I think the best version of that is Batman Arkham City because that game starts you with a lot of the same stuff, and then you double. You get so much tech that I don't even care about using, but they give it to you.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is also a good example for building on the foundations of something of what came before because they improved the combat in Kingdom Hearts 2. They had so many different play styles in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I mean we could go on talking about other games, but I want to say with God of War Ragnarok, while they went with the don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are still a few things in there, a few nuggets of this is different and we have to get used to it. Like definitely the drop in your spear when I first got it, it took me a while to get used to it. I will not lie.
Yeah,
it was a little bit, but after I got used to it, after I started playing with it, and I realized like, okay, this is actually I actually started really enjoying the spear.
It has my favorite, I don't remember if it's L2 or R2, but it has my favorite ability where you rain down spears on people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
That is my favorite too, and let's just say that helped me a lot with the Berserker fights. Jesus H. I'm on the last king. I'm on the king right now. I tried to kill the king the other day. I got.
Ben, have you killed the trolls yet?
Not yet.
You should go do that and then go fit the king again.
Kill the trolls first. I need to find the trolls too. Jesus H. Every time I was.
No, go ahead.
No, because I remember when I was traveling around the the realms, and Mimir would talk about a troll. I'm like, I would look at the troll. I'm like, I'm gonna have to fight this fucker soon, aren't I?
Yeah.
All right, and then I picked up the thing. I was like, oh, we could wake that up, and it took me a long time to realize because I think I was talking with Brandon off mic about the game. And then he said, "Hey, did you fight the trolls yet?" I'm like, "What trolls?" I'm like, "Oh, now I remember." It was like a memory was unlocked.
You need like an amulet to wake them up, and they drop an ore that can create the best armor in the game, and it's awesome.
So like, I know I am not negative on the combat. I think the combat is good. My problem is that it takes a very long time into the game before I feel like I'm doing more stuff than what I want to do, than what's initially given to me. Because it is a lot of the same abilities. And like, I can only swing an axe so many times before I'm like, yeah, but what's happening after this? And luckily there's like things like, like the augments and there's like different abilities you can use. And like, and Atreus being there is really cool. And when you get to play as Atreus, if it was just Kratos this entire game, I definitely wouldn't be as positive. I think the Atreus stuff's awesome. I love playing as Atreus. I love playing as Atreus.
I think the Atreus stuff is great. I really love his gameplay. I like his combat style. I love transforming into those animals. When you can control that.
Absolutely. 100% love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When the first time you could transform into a wolf, it was like so satisfying. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely a couple like I jump out of my chair moments, and like the first time you get to transform into the wolf as Atreus yourself. I'm like, that was one of the times when I came back to the podcast extremely positive because I just got to that moment, and I'm like, this is what I was waiting for, something like this where I get to turn into a wolf. And then I gotta wait. Then I gotta go through Ironwood and stuff.
I'm really happy that we kind of get some stuff with Freya. I think Freya is a good like she's basically Atreus when you don't have Atreus.
There's a lot of companions in this game, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I really like playing with Freya because there's I guess I don't want to get into story stuff yet. But Freya I'm really positive on overall.
Me too.
But the combat stuff with Atreus was always the highlight. And the first time I remember when we were transitioning to Atreus, I was like, oh, are we going to play as Atreus? And like, I even think Atreus has the strongest story elements when you're playing as him also.
I definitely agree with that, but definitely playing as Atreus for the first time threw me for a loop, because I want to say there was a good 30 or 40 seconds I'm staring at the screen waiting for the cutscene to continue. I'm like, wait a minute, because
I was like, wait a minute.
Well, the thing is, the heads up display didn't, like, his health bar and all his other stuff didn't pop up for me. So I'm like, no. And then I moved the stick and he's walking along. I'm like, oh shit, I get to play as Atreus now. This is actually, and that was to me one of the definitely one of the nuggets where the team decided, okay, what can we do here that's different? You play as Atreus.
And that's the biggest
well, his story.
Right. But that's the biggest attractor for me, is that there's not enough that's different about this game. And I feel like if this was the second part of a trilogy, I would feel differently. But because this is the final part of the Norse mythology, I am a little emotionally especially let down, because I think that kind of talking a little bit about the story, I think half of this game is very well paced, very well structured, good story. And then the second half of this game is very rushed. And I really wish it wasn't.
And this is what really bums me out, Brandon, because you're 100% right. But I liked the things I was doing more in the second half than as to the first half. I felt we were taking this is a game that takes too long and doesn't have enough time at the same time, which I don't understand how, because it's almost a 40-hour game if you want to do everything. Like the first half, I think it takes a really long time for you to get to tier to breaking out of the mine. I think that takes a long time. I think the Ironwood section, which is the internet's like the Ironwood section, is like the worst part of the game in my opinion. And that bums me out, because that's a section I should love. And I'm a person who loves slowing down, just talking, breathing with the characters. But God, that Gak moves so slow. Oh my God. We were there for like 2 hours doing nothing. And I'm like, this is the final God of War game of this. We're not going to see another God of War game for a long time. And we're spending 2 hours just yakking around. And sure, is that good for Atreus' story? Sure. But like, do I need to skip rocks 7 times?
But here's the issue. Here's the issue with that. I think when you boil it down, there's a lot of dialogue in this game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when you're talking about. It's a little weird for God of War to talk about dialogue scenes, admittedly. But like, there's a lot in this game, and it's because it's doing a lot of heavy lifting to finish the story. And that's kind of where I wish that we had spent. I wish that that it was reversed. That we spent more time on the second half of the game. We paced that a little bit more outwards, and we had more to do in there, and less time in the beginning half of the game. I wish that was the game that we played, and maybe I'd feel stronger about that because that we're doing more with the stuff that I like in the game. But I feel like that should have been its own game.
It feels like, real quick, man. It feels like we watched 3 hours of Infinity War, and then Endgame was 30 minutes long. Yeah, because like the final attack on
Asgard.
Asgard, I'm like, oh wow, we're doing it, and then it kind of like it's over, but like it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick, and I'm like, man, that was a lot of buildup, I guess, man.
Yeah. Definitely, I would have to agree with Ryan about how the first half of the game was definitely slower, and the second half of the game was just which really got me hyped. It really wanted me to continue back, and because we're at Ragnarok's doorstep. But getting to tier, getting into that mine, I will agree was a slog. A lot of the parts of the early game that, like I said earlier, I was jumping between God of War and Pokemon. I haven't touched Pokemon in a few weeks because I finally got to a point in God of War. I want to say when Freya. Like when Kratos and Freya really started traveling together, that is when I really became more invested in the game. It's like, no, I need to beat this. I got the drive. I got the drive to play this video game and to go through it and beat as much as I can. Because it was that perfect mesh of not only am I playing this game because I have commitments I need to fulfill, but I want to play this game because I am having fun playing it. Definitely the first 5 hours is definitely, it's like going to Svartalfheim for the first time. That's awesome, but God, that mine, I hate it.
I just felt like, and again, if this were the second game in a trilogy, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But like, we spend so much time, I feel like not doing much to get to an ending that we rushed to get to.
Yeah.
And I found that kind of baffling. And
So-
you can tell that they say that they made the decision early enough where it didn't impact development. I don't believe that. I don't believe that they thought they were only making one game at the start of this game. I don't believe that.
Mhm.
I don't think it shows in the game that we played.
No, it really doesn't. And Ben brought up Freya, and so I'll use that as a good point, jumping off point to talk a little bit about Freya. Maybe we can dive into her.
I
a
love
bit more.
Freya. I love Freya.
I really like what they do with her in this game when she's on screen.
Yeah.
So I really like what they do with her being, the thirst for vengeance to try to fight, to try to kill Kratos because of what happened to Baldur. And Kratos showing we're saying, no, we don't want to attack her, we don't want to fight her, we don't want to kill her, she's our friend. And like being wrangled into doing the Vanaheim stuff, which I really like the Vanaheim map. I think it's a really pretty, and I really like the mechanic that you can change the time of day. And you have a lot of really good dialogue moments talking to Freya about what you did in Greece when you killed your daughter. When you're talking about your brother Deimos, which is fun deep cut,
which is from the PSP games.
Yeah, and Freya kind of learning. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of talking about like Freya learning to forgive Kratos and doing a lot of that story. And that's all really good. And then the rest of her story happens off screen. And I was very upset about that.
Freya is probably, I don't want to say my favorite character because I think there's a lot of great characters, but like when I was with Freya, she is my favorite character.
Yeah.
I know that's a weird thing to say. My biggest problem is I think she has like the best quest in the game, and it's a side quest. Her side quest to like get the marriage stuff from Odin and stuff. I'm like, this should have been main quest shit, because that stuff is valuable and it's important, and you get so much insight into who Freya is and her relationship with Odin. She married him, and it was like an arranged or whatever, and she liked it at the time. She was also maybe a bad person, and then she grew up and realized he's the worst person imaginable to be married to, and it's like all that stuff you could miss. Yeah. And that bums me out because all of the best stuff with her is off screen if you don't look for it.
So, since we're talking about some off screen and some side quest stuff, there is one thing about this game that it truly is my biggest.
Wait, is this about Freya? Because I have one more thing I want to talk about Freya.
It's not about Freya, but you do your thing, then we'll jump into my thing.
So I just want to real quickly explain what I mean by like a lot of her development happens off screen afterwards, because once she pairs off with Freyr,
the worst character in the game.
She has all these adventures, connecting with Freyr, finding the Valkyries, getting an army, all that stuff. All that stuff happens off screen. Why the hell didn't we see any of that? Why isn't that part of the game? Why aren't we still with Freya? And because of that, I feel like Freyr's sacrifice means nothing.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Freyr. We'll back it up. God of War 2018. That is a tight game. There are no wasted characters. No one's introduced, and I think they don't deserve to be here. I think all the characters are good. We get a much bigger cast in this game. Obviously, it's a sequel. That makes sense. We got to introduce a lot of people. Freyr, that dude sucks.
Yeah.
First of all, he doesn't sound like anyone else. It's Brett Dalton. It's Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
He just sounds like a California dude. He just shows up and he's supposed to be really important, and he has a cool boat that we don't use. I guarantee you that is a cut thing from the game. Why would they introduce that boat thing only for us to never use it?
We only use it
once.
Yeah, to go to the crater. That's it.
Yeah, I guarantee that was a cut thing. Also, we're in. So I don't care about Freyr or when he dies. I could not care less. There's a big dude on that boat who gets killed by a dragon. Everyone's really dramatic about it. I didn't know who that guy was. That was
Brigier?
the least. Say it again.
Brigier.
Sure. I save him 20 hours later in the crater when I go do the extra stuff. But when that dude gets killed, or quote unquote killed by the dragon on the boat, it's this huge dramatic scene and everyone's freaking out. I'm like, you literally just introduced him to me. I don't know who that is. I cannot care about this character. I didn't know who he was.
And Freyr's sword. We're talking about a little bit about how Ragnarok is rushed. When that sword shows up at Freyr, I was like, okay. So I guess that's how that connected.
Yeah, because that was Ingrid. That's Ingrid. That was the sword of Tracy.
That is real Norse lore or whatever. That he did have a flying sword, but like it felt like it was like, oh, we need to connect it to something. It's his sword.
I have another issue that I want to bring up, but Ben started talking about a little something before.
This we're not talking about. This isn't me talking about story, but it's also still going to like the game mechanics and stuff about the game and whatnot. My biggest gripe with this game, and even when I say biggest gripe, I'm not gonna like say it's a horrible thing because games do this every once in a while. It happens. I'm just kind of annoyed when they do. It's when side quests are locked post game.
Okay.
What was that?
Now, in God of War 2018, one of my favorite things to do was find up, like, with a lot of action RPGs and RPGs in general, one of the things I do strive towards is I'd like to get as overpowered as I possibly can. And be prepared for the final boss gauntlet. Because in a lot of games, the final boss gauntlet truly tests your abilities, and yo boy likes to come prepared to beat some ass. And in God of War 2018, that happened with the Valkyries. If you're able to kill all the Valkyries, you get some of the best armor in the game. The same with the Muspelheim trials, the Surtur trials. You get some of the best gear to go in and just kick ass and take names. You cannot do that in God of War 2018 or God of War Ragnarok, because one of the Berserker stones is blocked off endgame. It's the one in Niflheim, and also the trolls.
Oh, you're right. You can't get to the one in Niflheim until you're right.
Exactly. And not to degrade post-game content, because post-game content happens a lot. But I mean, thankfully, there was still a lot of side quests I could do. I did all the side quests in the creator. I got, like, the build I have on Kratos right now is dragon armor with the crystal gauntlets and the crystal waistband. And I got that all up to maximum, so I'm able. So to me, that's like
the one that slows time. Is that the one that slows time when you dodge?
No, dodge? That's the Berserker one, I think.
Okay, that's the one I have. I don't think it's a Berserker one. There is a Realm Tear gauntlet that allows you to that if you do a perfect dodge, time slows down for like a brief moment. It's great. I use it all the time. I love it.
Yeah, I use the Heimdall sword for that one. I just have that as a relic. But to me, like, going into the final fight being overpowered, and even like the Ragnarok armor that Lunda can make you before Ragnarok.
Oh, Lunda.
I love Lunda, but dear God, that armor sucks.
Yeah, the Ragnarok armor, the Destiny armor that she gives you sucks.
It's absolute garbage. And then it's like, I got this sick dragon armor with these crystal gauntlets and this crystal waistband that's like already 10 times better.
Yeah.
And just, to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was already overpowered going into the final fight. But something was just bugging me, because a lot of times if I am trying to complete a game, I like completing it before I get to the final. Like, the final boss is the final nail in the coffin of all the stuff I need to beat.
You know what, Ben? I'm going to actually say that's a feature of this game that I quite like. The fact that there are things that you can't do until the game is over. Like, for example, there's the you know what, Ben? You didn't beat the game before we're doing this, so I might spoil something for you.
This is spoiler mode, baby.
We're in spoiler mode, dude.
Oh, Did you find Tyr?
Yes.
Okay. The real Tyr.
I found the real Tyr. Yes.
Good. Right. Okay. So yes,
I literally did that. You told me to go back to Niflheim to the Raven Tree because there's another path there, and I walked down said path, and ta-da, there he is.
And I really like that, because what I think this game has is some incredible post-game content, things that you can only find after the game is over. And I really appreciate that it creates, while the game is long to begin with, it creates a longer experience, because going after I was done, quite honestly, I wasn't ready. I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't ready. I wasn't satisfied with this game ending here. And there were more things to do that felt integral to the story, like Thrug finding Thor's hammer, and Alphon, which is awesome.
What's the kid who looks like Link? Ben, the blonde kid who's wearing like the Link outfit from Breath of the Wild. Skildir. Did you find him trying to get the coin out that you threw over the wall? You find he's trying to pull the coin that you threw off the wall or whatever.
In Asgard?
In Midgard, in the Lake of Nine.
In Midgard, yeah. I forget some character.
When Odin gives Kratos a coin, like passes to Asgard, free passes to Asgard. Essentially, it's at the beginning of the game. Kratos throws the coin, and Atreus and Mimir are like, good riddance. That landed in a pillar in the Lake of Nine that Skildir is trying to get out.
Okay,
I have the game.
I haven't found Skildir yet, but I'm pretty sure it will, because last time I saved it, I want to say I was in the Lake of Nine.
judging from the comments, that you didn't see the sleeping dragon that you can awaken as well.
No, but the second Grayson was kind enough to tell me where the dragon was, it makes sense because I want to say I saw this big giant dragon statue on Dragon Beach when I went to go take out the Asgard camp there, and I'm like, was that dragon statue there before? And now I realize, oh, I'm an idiot. Of course, it's on Dragon Beach.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I'm trying not to be totally negative, but like it does bum me out a little bit that some of the extra content you get is just fighting the bosses from the previous game.
Yeah.
Because it's just trolls and dragons, which you fought in the last game. And there's no new animations. They're the same animations. You kill them over and over again. Which
and
again, I understand.
And if you did the greater, you fought trolls and dragons. You fight a few trolls here and there. Those were fun fights. The dragons, I think, like you fought like three different. You fought like 3 different types of dragons. The Drakes, the ones that's behind Ryan right now. The Drakes were those big elephant, giant tusk looking things, and of course your standard dragons that fly and are actually really fun fights. I had a lot of fun fighting those monsters. I
loved the creator, like the fact that I discovered a new zone that's like, oh, here's extra 10 hours of content you can do. And I watched so many interviews with the creative director, and he's like, there was an experiment that this one guy wanted to do. He's like, can I put a zone within the zone? And he did it. And then they're like, wow, that's really cool. Let's build up upon that. And then we'll make it like its own little thing.
And there's a mystery. Really cool. There's a mystery around the crater that Freya had fought Thor. And that's why there's another lightning bolt. By the way, Deborah Ann Wool appears in this game as Freya. Beautiful, wonderful. She's great. I love her.
I'm glad I didn't get that spoiled for me. Because by no one's the actors themselves are spoiling it. They're like, hey, it's been 3 days, I'm in God of War Ragnarok, and like, give some people a chance.
Because Bear McCreary was like the one I saw was like, hey, I'm in this game. I'm like, that's cool, man, good for you.
Bear McCreary I want to be upset about because he
plays Rob. He plays Rob.
He's the guy who hangs out with the
Derlin,
the contractor guy.
Gerlin. Dwarf.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fun fact: this game it's beautiful. It's gorgeous, right? I had two bugs that has never really happened on a super high budget game like this before. Like Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, all these games. Bear McCreary's model looked like it was from the PS3 when I was talking to him for the first time. It's like his textures did not load in, so he looked like a square monster. And I'm just like, this is just a bummer on my case. And I had a second bug, which is a game-breaking bug that happened at the end of the game. Where after I beat Odin, you have the long walk at the end and you basically check in with everyone. Like, oh, you're doing this. And like, it's like a long, long hallway and it takes forever. Well, the door that's supposed to open at the end doesn't open. So I'm just walking around going, what did I miss? And then I look it up and I watch a video of you opening the door automatically. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to redo this. So I have to do that thing for 15 minutes again. At least I beat it.
I don't know if this is it's not really a game. It's not a game-breaking bug. It's just something that to me is really annoying because when you go into the shop to upgrade weapons, there's like little exclamation parts on the bottom of the bar that tell you, hey, there's something you could upgrade. For the longest time, I don't know when exactly this happened. There's an exclamation. It's still freaking there too. There's an exclamation mark over my weapons, and I go through all my weapon tabs to see what's there to do, and it's nothing new. It's all the weapons I've gathered.
I have the same bug.
Pisses me off because it's like I don't have it. I upgraded the handles I want. I upgraded the stuff I want. It's all upgraded. My Blades of Chaos, Leviathan, Dropnir, they're all good. They're all maxed out. All the stuff I like on those weapons is maxed out. What the F am I missing? And it's still there and it still pisses me the F off. It's not, it's really odd because it's just something that's like, hey, there's something here. I was like, no, there's fucking not.
No, that would bother the shit out of me too. I get you.
Yeah, I have the same bug. I want to talk about a positive.
Yes, positive.
I really like Angrboda.
I do too.
I think in Norse mythology, not to talk about the source material, in Norse mythology, Angrboda is nothing. She is called the mother of monsters, and she only exists to birth the three monster giants of Ragnarok, Jormungandr, Fenris, and Hela. And after that, before and after that, she does not appear in mythology. And that sucks because that's just what is how it is.
She just goes up and hangs out with the anti-monitor.
So what I really like about this is that they make Angrboda a kind of a guiding hand for Atreus up until the moment that it's prophesied, and then she's wondering, well, what's next for me? What do I do next? Nothing. I guess I don't know what. And then I really like that kind of agency of like, I'm not just here for your prophecy. I'm and that's how their love story creates, because Atreus, Loki, is telling her like, no, you shouldn't be just prophecy for me. You should be your own giant. And why don't you go find the other Jotuns?
Yeah.
I think and I really like that story, and I really like that inclusion.
I do too. I think besides the fact that I don't like the section itself that she's in, I think she is a great character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I also agree. I'm not the biggest fan of Ironwood until we get to her grandma. That's fun.
That's my favorite part of the game. Fighting big grandma when everything's big. Oh my god, I wanted to do that forever. That was so fun.
Yeah. But I also want to say good on the writers, because they take something about prophecy or people who prophesize stuff, and there's something that we don't really talk about a whole lot. Is like, what do we do after the prophecy?
Yeah,
like like Brandon, you just mentioned Angraboda's part of how she's like, no, this is my destiny, this is what I do, and then she's like, and she does the thing, and she's like, well, shit, what do I do now? And then Atreus is there, is like, whatever the heck you want, baby, do what you gotta do.
And it's weighing on her from the moment you meet her, because she has been preparing for Atreus to show up. So what happens when he's gone? There is nothing that no one talks about Angraboda after Atreus leaves Ironwood. So what does she do next? And I really appreciate that level of story, which ties into like the whole idea of fate and that the fate is bullshit theme that we're doing in this game. Because when we meet the Norns, and they're just like, no, there's no such thing as fate. We just predict you. We're just so good at predicting what you're going to do.
You're predictable.
You're all predictable. And so I really like that sequence. Again, too short.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I really like
Angraboda. When you have Angraboda as a companion, she throws like paint. That shit looks so cool. That's like this big paint burst, and I'm like, man, every time you get a new companion and they have their own cool abilities that they do, like you even get Sindri at one point on your team. Yeah. I'm like, I'm surprised how many people keep like interchanging as a homie. That's like, it was really cool.
Yeah,
Kratos and Brock as a partnership was great.
That's yeah.
I really like when Thrud comes in to help.
Yeah,
I love Thrud. Thrud is I love Angraboda, but man, Thrud is definitely one of my favorite characters in this game. I like when the second she shows up and you think that she wants you dead for what she did to her brothers, but then she's like, you did what you got to do, so we're doing shit now. So let's go explore.
Because she's told by her mother, it's like, no, Magni and Modi were assholes.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to let them go. They deserved it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So does Thor. Until he doesn't, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh, but that's the thing. So like, I really like Atreus, because you brought up Thrud. I really like Atreus on Asgard. And most of what I really like, I fully admit, is because I think the Asgard stuff with Atreus on Asgard is some of the strongest stuff. And I think I feel that way because I think Richard Schiff as Odin is astoundingly good.
Great. Oh yeah. Like I have no problems with any of the performances in the game at all.
Oh no, Richard Schiff. Just to see Ryan Hurst, who played Opie in Sons of Anarchy,
that's
come
so
back,
crazy.
and just the fact that he's doing something like this and he just kills it. Like when I'm in Muspelheim and I'm exploring with him in Muspelheim and in Niflheim, it's just like the parts with Thor and like especially at the end of the Muspelheim bit where he's like he tells Loki, he's like, Loki, you're a good kid, but you gotta be careful, you know? It's like, oh, they do care. But we're working for a master manipulator and a psychopath.
Because that's what some of this everything with Odin. I think Odin is really well written. I really like the idea of like this kind of like snake tongue devil. Like I even got to the point where I was like, no, I believe you, Odin. I'm with you, Odin, because like he keeps Thor drunk because that's the only way you can control Thor, and he doesn't value Thor at all. But he also,
I don't think Odin values anyone but himself.
Right,
he just he needs to.
But he pretends to, especially Heimdall and especially Loki. But Thor is the one where he's completely mask off. Like he does not pretend to like Thor, and that's really messing with Thor. But that's how Odin controls Thor.
Yeah,
he can control everyone else with his silver tongue. Like, oh, I actually care about you when I really don't. He can't Thor because Thor is desperate for the attention.
My favorite mask from Son of the Mask, starring Jamie Kennedy. Because that Loki mask.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's a more symbology. So I thought, did we need to collect 3 pieces of the mask?
Did we need to collect the mask?
It's the give and the take, because like I'm happy that I got to spend time with all these characters, but like that's like 5 hours of you just going to get something,
and it doesn't matter.
In the end, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he breaks it, and it goes back into the tear, and that's definitely what starts the fight with Odin.
I don't know if I needed resolution with like the mask, or like an actual truth, or Odin looking in. Like, I don't know if I needed any resolution for that, but like it felt like it kind of just like pooted out at the end with all that stuff. And it's like,
I don't know if I needed it either, but I needed a resolution that wasn't just, actually the mask didn't matter to the story. So those 5 hours that you did, sorry.
Yeah. I was hoping for a little something more with the mask, especially since like maybe Atreus would betray Odin, put it on, and look into the truth of creation, see truth, or
I thought that's what was going to happen.
I was hoping for something like that, and but yeah, the fact that he breaks it was like I saw it coming from a mile away. It's like he's either gonna put it on himself or he's gonna break it. One of these two things is gonna happen.
Or Odin, or what I thought, Odin was going to put it on and go crazy after you fought him. So here's I said a positive anger vote, so now I'll give it a negative, and I'll do a positive after, kind of make a nice sandwich.
Love it.
The boss battles, while I do like the gods that we meet, for the final game of Norse mythology, it's not big enough for me. And like, I understand that 2018 set the bar, set a different standard for God of War games, that bigger wasn't always better. And I understand that. And I understand that this is very much like, open your heart to suffering and pain and destiny be damned and blah, blah, blah. But if Ragnarok is the war to end all wars, I did not get that from this game.
Yeah.
You know what would have helped? Is if maybe Jormungandr wasn't a background character and Surtur was just kind of doing a motion every now and then.
Dude, the build up, like you going to Surtur, meeting Surtur, I'm like, this dude's vibe is really weird and I love it. His wife has got his heart, he's got her, whatever. This is all dope. I love Norse mythology. Like him becoming the big monster at the center of the cosmos. All that shit is so cool. And then I think it's gonna turn into like a big God of War game, and it kind of just doesn't do that.
And you know what? Honestly, sorry, Ben, real quickly. Honestly, this is the game to have done the big God of War game. Like, I don't know if I needed it to, but like, so what if instead of Thor and Jormungandr just kind of fighting until you trigger Jormungandr to go back in time?
Way in the background. What if you were fighting Thor on top of Jormungandr, and that was a boss battle instead of just kind of outside of Asgard? Like, so what if there was some more interesting set pieces rather than just kind of running down a track for Ragnarok? What if it was bigger? What if it was a third game? No, yeah. It's really tricky because like I understand, I 100% get, like it takes 4 to 5 years to make one of these games. They don't want to work on one franchise for 15 years. I get that. Because this is God of War, this is a Sony first party. This is their big, hey, we get one of these a year. This is the big one, right? This is our Marvel big blockbuster. Like, we just kind of expect more. It's specifically because, like you said, Brandon, that God of War 2018 is one of the greatest pieces of video games ever made. Like, they set the bar too high. And it's not that this game is bad in any way, but it just feels like none of the highs are as high as that first game. When I think of the finale of that first game, it's those 2 giant things, and you're on top of those guys, and I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know what the trajectory of how this game starts to where it gets to. Like, I don't know. Garm is my favorite fight in the game. I think that's the coolest. When I told you guys, I feel like I'm playing God of War again. It's that entire Garm section, because they made that level to be a boss level where Garm is throughout the entire level. He's everywhere. You have to fight him in a big arena. That's when I felt like the most like this is God of War, and I got the new weapons and I'm doing so much cool shit. And then it kind of fizzles out, and like the fight with Thor again is cool. I think the fight with Odin is fine. I think it's a totally. I was expecting it to be so crazy, and he's just like going lightning at you. And I'm like,
honestly, the Heimdall fight was my favorite fight.
Heimdall rules.
Heimdall's great.
Garm was my second favorite fight. The fight with Heimdall is good, but I do agree that the fight with Odin, like, yes, correct me if I'm wrong, but Odin's a 2-stage fight, correct?
Yeah, but like, Ben, we played Elden Ring. A second phase means he turns into a giant snake monster.
There was a point. The fight with Odin definitely. I mean, look, hard fight. But at the end of it, you're right. I was expecting more. I was expecting him to get on his four-legged horse to start trotting around and be a true
Whoa.
What's this?
Or
Slipnir? What's his name?
8-legged horse, Sleipnir, thank you.
That's
okay.
what I meant.
Sleipnir can't exist because he is Loki's child.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that bit.
But weirdly, so this is kind of the thing about mythology that gets me going. Weirdly, the wall is already built, but the giant who created the wall, his horse is Sleipnir's father, and Loki is Sleipnir's mother. So that Sleipnir should have already been born. Weird, right?
Jormungandr, go back in time.
I mean, but that's more of a late in 2018 they made Atreus Loki.
Right.
That wasn't always the plan.
Yes, that's true. Okay. Do you remember how all the giants were dead at the end of God of War, and they're all, and then no, that was a trap to trick Odin. So the entire thing you did at the end of the game doesn't really matter that you saw those dead giants. They weren't really dead. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, because they put their souls in marbles. But one of the things that I do like, is how they interpret Ragnarok, when they're just like, actually, Ragnarok's not the destruction of the 9 realms; it's the destruction of Asgard. And the giant who prophesized it didn't want Odin to know that. And I think that's pretty cool.
This is okay. So this is a great thing. This is a great point to bring up Tyr and how Tyr was Odin the whole time. And there are clues the entire time. Like, just there's videos out online that you can see. Like, there's raven feathers in his cell when you go to get Tyr. There's a dude who spits on you when you enter Svartalheim, and that's Odin in disguise. All the people that Odin is disguised as are in that prison that you go to free Tyr at the end of the game. Lots of cool stuff. When he sees that vision, that Asgard is actually the one to get destroyed, Tyr freaks out, and that's not something Tyr should freak out about. And I didn't catch it, and nobody else caught it until afterwards. But I think that is a pretty cool thing that was there.
That bit got spoiled for me by YouTube.
Oh,
it wasn't a YouTube video that I was trying to watch. I was like flipping, because you know how when you're on YouTube on your phone and they have those shorts things that in between videos. Yeah, that was the first thing. It says it's like signs that Odin was here. And I'm like, God damn it! But
that's a bummer.
Yeah, but thankfully the reveal was still heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. It's truly incredible. Like, honestly, it's the best part of the game story wise for me, because it's something that you don't see coming necessarily unless you're like really looking. Mm-hmm. And then when it happens, Brock is dead, and you're like, oh shit. Oh shit, Tyr's been Odin. And like, what I like about it so much is that Brock is the one to figure it out. Mm-hmm. He doesn't quite know that he's Odin, but he's acting weird. It's like, wait, what's all this? Wait, how do you know how to get into Asgard all of a sudden? Why are you calling him Loki all of a sudden? What's going on? And like, he's like really pushing. And everyone's like, Brock, what the hell are you talking about? Brock. And then he's the one to die.
There's a great again, like I didn't catch it, but nobody calls Freya Frigg but Odin. And when Tyr meets Freya, he says, Frigg, it's good to see you. I'm like, damn, that's good writing right there. That's pretty good. I like that.
I like the Tyr reveal a lot. And then like the kind of like the game after that being like, so like you feel it with the characters. Like, you feel angry. You're like, oh, I was betrayed by this person that we trusted Tyr.
Sindri. That dude's like a different person.
Sindri's messed up.
Yeah, like Sindri, and talking, like every time when Sindri is like at the end of the game with Atreus, like just Sindri's short, like being just the way he's so short with Loki, not putting on his height. Shut up. Shut it. Like the fact that he has that attitude, and that when they put Odin's soul in the marble and he's just the one just yank it out of Freya's hand and smash it with a hammer, he's like, that's what happens next. And it's just like, oh, he just does not care.
And what I like about Sindri so much post game is that like he looks at Atreus, and like he's very, very apologetic about Atreus. Like Atreus turned into a bear and whacked him in the face, and he still goes to a path of forgiveness. Maybe not right away, but he's still like, and then like he's like, we gave you everything. We gave you our home. You brought this thing into our home that killed my brother. And he's like so done with like what he sees as this selfish act that Atreus has been doing for years, because they've been working together for years. Mm-hmm. And he says it like, I give and I give and I give and I give, and you take and take and take, and you never give, and you never, you know,
It's intense.
it's just, it's a really intense moment that I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like going to like again, like some people won't go to the funeral because they don't even know that like post game there's a funeral where you can roll credits. It's somebody I didn't realize this, but somebody brought it up when this is the first time, because you know how dwarves can shift between realms and they like disappear. This is the first time you actually see it happen in front of you. When after Brock dies, Sindri just vaporizes. He just disappears in between the folds, and you never see it happen on screen like that.
Well, I'll push back. I think you see it happen after Brock dies. Like,
well, no, that's what I mean. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Sorry, yeah,
that's literally what he said.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's the only time. Sorry, not the only time, because we see it later. It's the first time that happens, and it's a really powerful. I love it because like this, the background is getting darker, much more misty. Everyone is leaving the screen, and the camera gets closer and closer to Sindri, and then disappears, just right in front of us. It's a great moment.
That is a good spot, or a good moment.
I love Heimdall. I think he has a great fight. He's played by Scott Porter, who is great. He's played so many Marvel heroes. Now he gets to be Heimdall. He's Bucky in the Winter Soldier in the Avengers game. He's great. Heimdall's such a jerk. I love him. It was so great to like be Kratos, and like Kratos is like, I'm not gonna kill him. Not killing him. Me done with killing. Shit. Damn it.
Like,
here's a positive I'll finish my sandwich with. Kratos' story of trying to be better, of trying not to go down the path of vengeance, trying to avoid Ragnarok. Like because Atreus is like, what if we can't avoid it? And it's like, we will. We're not going to fight this war. We are not our fate. And like he's talking, and like when he realizes that Ragnarok is inevitable, that he has to fight in this Ragnarok, he's so angry. He's like, must all paths I take lead to vengeance? Like he's so rageful. He's so angry about it. He's just like, is this all I am? Is this all I'm meant to be in life? I think that's a really good storyline for Kratos to take in this game. And Christopher Judge is so good.
Oh yeah. I think oh, go ahead, Ben. You had a point, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, like, a lot of, I would say, Oscar-worthy scenes are in this game.
Yeah,
the scene when Freya gets her freedom after killing.
That's so good. We're just ripping the vines of the
ripping the vine, and just like talking between the two of them, saying like, I denied you that choice, but I do not regret saving it. That scene, amazing. When Atreus comes back, that was the second. That was the main quest.
No, that was the main quest. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And then when Atreus comes back and Kratos hugs his kid after freaking out and going bear form and releasing Garm, and just like Kratos just like,
everyone's so angry at Atreus for releasing Garm. Like even Mimir is like, what the hell were you thinking releasing Garm?
He says that Atreus fucked up, and that you never hear that language from Mimir to Atreus.
And Kratos is the one to be like, enough. We're going to deal with this. Atreus and I are going to go deal with this.
We made a new and we'll handle it.
Yeah. And then like when they have that heart to heart, and about how, like, I want to say it was right after the reveal that that Tyr was Odin the whole time, and then they're talking, like they're hunting, and then they start talking to, like, Kratos goes, I've been slipping back into my old ways. I'm like, all vengeance, everything, and then Atreus does, do not be sorry, be better.
Yeah.
That's
and like the line, the like parallel of like the first game was like, close your heart to the pain, close your heart to it all. To this game, by the end of it being like, open your heart to it, make you better. And I was wrong.
It's so great because, like, yes, Kratos was a monster. Did he kill thousands of people? Absolutely. Did he destroy Greece by murdering its pantheon? Yes. He is potentially irredeemable. I will put this lotion down. I don't know why I keep holding it to make a point like a pen. But, like, like, do people like that deserve second chances? Like, this is a fake world, so I say yes, because it's not the real world. We don't think about that, right? But, like, however many years go by, and he's like, I'm not the person I am. But what if I am? What if this is who I always will be? And what I love is, like, by the end of this game, it's like, Kratos, yeah, you might be that person, but you can use that for good too. And he ends up being like the general of the army, like, quote unquote, when everyone thought it would be someone else, but it ends up being Kratos. And, like, And then, oh my god, the thing at the end with like the prophecy of him like leading, he starts crying because like
he sees the statue, like
Mhm.
his future is a gold statue, and he's like, I never envisioned this path for myself.
yeah, people worshiping him as like a good god. Like
that scene, sorry to go back, after you get the spear and when Odin pops in for a hot second and you get that great trailer line with Odin's talking, is like, have you ever been loved? Has anyone ever worshipped you? Has anyone done anything but fear you? Do you know
Has anyone
how
ever
that is?
prayed? Has anyone ever prayed to you?
Yeah, and then seeing that Kratos not only becomes the new, or he becomes a Norse god of war, I assume, because they built a statue of him, but the fact that they do revere him, they do look at him with respect and with reverence instead of fear and hatred like he was in Greece. It's like he never thought he would know this piece, and he's like, you know what, the work is there is the fact when he starts crying, and I just love the single shot work. Once again, to me, Oscar moment when it's a single shot of him and he's saying goodbye to Atreus and he turns around, he sees the shrine, but then sees the backside and sees the whole thing. That whole part was just like, he finally got it. He finally got the happy ending he deserves this whole time. Because even at the end of the very first God of War game, 2005, he's about to kill himself, but Athena goes, nope. You're the new God of War. Have fun.
You're gonna be the new God of War. Yeah, I like the I really like the scene because you brought it up. I really like the scene where he's saying goodbye to Atreus. I think it's really well written, and it's a really tender moment between two characters who ultimately have good story arcs in this game, regardless of if the second half is rushed or not. I think ultimately, like the story arcs are good in this game.
Sending your kid to college is always a hard thing to do. Sending your baby boy to become a baby man. It is always hard. I just man. Baby man. It just bums me out because like this, we live in a world of business. We talked about it with movies earlier. Like there will be another God of War game. It won't be anytime soon, and it won't be by Cory Barlog because that dude almost killed himself making that first game. That's why somebody else directed this game. I am so curious what they're gonna do. If this feels like an ending for Kratos, a really, really great ending for Kratos. He doesn't have to fight anyone ever again. Like, he won. He became a hero. I don't want him to fight ever again. Like, it makes sense for it to be about Atreus. I don't need him to fight another pantheon. Why would he be fighting gods? I don't know if I need another God of War after this. I just wish, like, I don't know what I want with this franchise anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an interesting place to rest for a bit.
I have to agree. Now, I get it. God of War is Sony's bread and butter, or it's one of their biggest selling franchises.
Last of Us premiering tonight.
Okay, one of their breads and butters.
Yeah.
But yeah, God of War Ragnarok brought in so much money, and it also brings in. It's one of those franchises that when you say PlayStation, that's one of the first franchises you think of. That's being a PlayStation original. And obviously, this probably won't be the last God of War game, but at the exact same time, the fact that you just said that, if Kratos' story ended here and we go to Atreus or we go to someone else, we go to Egypt and we see the Egyptian God of War, and we just put Kratos behind, I'm okay with that.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I'm greedy, so like I'll always kind of want more. So like if you want to make another Kratos game and he's fighting the Egyptian gods or he's fighting the Chinese gods or he's fighting the Hindu gods, whatever, I'll play it. And I'm sure there could be a good story there. I don't know if that's the direction I necessarily think they should take. I would definitely like to see Atreus.
Stop killing people.
But I would definitely like to see Atreus as a lead of a game. I think that's kind of where I'm following the most of like the next game in 15,000 years, whenever the hell they want to do it, would be about Atreus. And I think Atreus is a character that I would like to follow as a main character of a game.
I wasn't joking about the sending your kid to college thing. Like that's what this feels like. It feels like it feels like a send off of like not just like the end of this era, but like Kratos got his happy ending. I don't need him to. I don't want him to kill anymore. Let put the blades down.
I don't need.
He has a future with Freya. Whether they're friends or maybe a little more on the side, they got some great chemistry. You know, they could live for 1,000 years. They can get over their exes and whatever. You know, they're both dead at this point.
I was curious about like the lifespan of a god, because clearly clearly Kratos is older than he was before. He's graying. There's some gray in his beard. I was curious about, like, is he actually immortal, or would he die? Obviously, it's a longer life than a mortal.
We see him like literally heal wounds, and the other in the Norse gods also do that. So I think they're. I don't know. Actually,
yeah. See, like,
I don't know.
I'm curious about that. I think if I want to see Kratos do another Pantheon murder, I'd probably want it to be set between the trilogy and these two games. There's a comic.
A better idea. Yeah.
There's a comic that he like passes by Egypt and he's like, do that story. Like so we know, like, canonically he went to Norse through way of Egypt. So okay, like, there's your pathway to do an Egypt game, and you have Kratos, and maybe it is the God of War game that all the incels want it to be. But I think any future games, probably I'd prefer it if it were Atreus.
Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm at the end of this game, I know I don't need another God of War game for a good long while. Unlike 2018, because 2018 had, as what everyone calls it, the MCU ending, where Thor is at it's like you have this cloaked figure. Who are you? He flips the cape, and it's Mjolnir. It's revealed to be, oh my god, it's Thor.
Meow meow.
But now that we got that ending, or now that we got this game's ending, like, Kratos has the happy ending, Atreus is going off exploring and find the rest of the Jotnar, and we just have some really fun endgame stuff to do. I am totally fine with waiting for another God of War game for a good long while. I am content.
I think my aversion to waiting and not getting another Kratos story comes from just the satisfaction I feel after being done with this game. Yeah. I do not think this game is as satisfying of a story as the 2018 game, and therefore I'm still kind of sitting there going, like, okay, but more? No, and like, story wise, I know that's not the organic way to go, but, like, I don't know.
Hard wants. No, it really is a bummer. And again, like, I understand studio not wanting to dedicate their entire life to one franchise. But, like, this game started as a trilogy and it ended as a duology. So like, there's just some stuff that's got to be cut. There's some stuff that's got to be rushed. I think, again, we talk about, like, the story stuff's really good and the character stuff's really good, but at the end of the day, it's still a video game that you have to play. We're not watching a movie, we're playing a video game for 40 hours. So I think a great thing to do is you fight Heimdall early and you lose intentionally, so you get the drop near earlier, and then you can progress by the time you get to Heimdall. Then you're like, you have it, you're cool with it. He's not expecting it. Because I just think it shouldn't take you an entire game's worth to get a new weapon for a sequel. It's like, I think it takes way too long for the game to evolve, because you get the wolf stuff, but you're only playing as Atreus half the time. You're still playing as Kratos most of the game. So, like, it is an iterative game with a really great story. It's just, unfortunately, like, I wanted this to be the jump that, like, The Last of Us 2 had. Like, this is playable on PlayStation 4. And, like, at the end of the day, they had to make this game for PlayStation 4 players. And sometimes it feels like it. It technically looks great, but, like, I can still tell, like, this is not a giant open world. I'm crawling through 45 ducks every couple minutes. Like,
you're absolutely right. I saw your tweet about the quote unquote loading screens. It's
really noticeable after a while.
There's
the ones where you go under the river and you go like this in your boat. I'm like, who's building rivers like this? Who's building their architecture like this?
That was definitely, there are times where I was playing spot the loading screen every once in a while.
There's a scene that I want to highlight, which is when you fight the Valkyries after Surtur takes a dive into the heart of the universe or whatever.
I was trying to mention that earlier about how much I love that fight, and also you get
the ending of the fight. The ending of the fight is what I want to highlight real quickly, Ben. When it's Kratos and Atreus as a bear, just kind of back to back. I was like, oh baby!
I am so mad I did not hit the screenshot button fast enough to get that shot.
Oh my god!
My God, is so good.
You know what that reminded me, Brian? You know what that moment
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Me of? Yes, 100%. You know the moment.
Fin Foom? Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh shit, Fin Foom's in Guardians.
Spoilers.
And is he in Guardians? Oh, he's a lot in Guardians.
I haven't played the
That's a
Guardians game,
great
so
game. That's a great game. Where were we just talking about crap before Guardians?
The Atreus and the bear.
Right.
Atreus as a bear with the double pack.
This game made me emotional a couple times. I am not joking. That boss fight was intense. It was so fun. The dual fights in the bear. When that Tekken tag team tournament moment happened, and it's the back-to-back, I'm not gonna lie, I shed a little tear because I'm like, yeah, because like they're posing. It feels like a movie moment. Like it's so that is like my big fist pump of the game. That moment, so good.
You know what part really gave me the feels?
What was that?
A hole.
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about, Ben. Keep
I
going.
haven't played this game in a month.
It's when Mimir finally figures out Brock's riddle.
Oh, Brock's riddle.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll be honest. It's 20 hours too late, I think.
I think the moment is supposed to be that he figures it out at the funeral.
No, I understand, but I think I forgot all about it for so long. I'm like, oh yeah, it is nice.
You know, because there were times. Okay, so the moment really hit me because there was probably like RNG phrases, because you know how when you're exploring the world, there's RNG phrases and RNG things that they say every once in a while to break, to like, you know, to put some dialogue in and stuff, and they repeat every once in a while. I want to say it was like right before I started Ragnarok where Mimir was like still angry about the riddle. He was like, "Gah!" And then we get into Ragnarok, and then the reveal happens. We get into Ragnarok and everything, and then when Mimir, like the line was said just enough, like right enough before Brock's death that I remembered it. And when he finally realized what the solution was, I was like, son of a bitch.
Oh, I like how Brock finds out that he was dead.
That was a good scene.
Part of his soul is missing. Oh, the mermaid.
The mermaid wouldn't look at him, wouldn't acknowledge him.
The lady wouldn't acknowledge his existence.
The lady of the lake
and we already know that this happened because Sindri told us, but like he figures it out. He's like, that son of a bitch, I was dead.
I love Mimir bringing up other like Celtic mythology. Like he definitely brings up the Lady of the Lake once. It's a random like an RNG thing, like you said, Ben. Did you guys get the PlayStation All-Stars thing where he's like, once you fought the greatest musician ever and a boombox man and a robot man? And like, it's so good.
He's like,
I played the game so long. When I'm driving the wolves, they don't talk anymore.
Oh yeah, they're just quiet. Yeah.
I went through all the language options.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys find one of Caspier's poems? I noticed it because this was the only time I noticed the cover of the poem. The cover of the poem had Ratchet on it from Ratchet. Clank. It had Clank.
Did you read any of those poems?
Yeah, I read them.
Okay, good. They're all PlayStation video games.
Yeah, I didn't realize
every
that.
single one is a PlayStation video game.
That's cool.
Real quick, we didn't talk about some of the great side quests. Big old whale man. There's a big old whale in this game.
Big old whale. I like him.
Big year for whales.
I liked him.
I did too.
He was cool. I like the kind of like, you know, the allegory to Kratos' own chains and Mimir's being locked up to the whale. He's like, why isn't he leaving? It's like, because he can't.
He doesn't know anything else. This is his life now. Like the big like redemption and like, you know, like feeling bad for what you did and like you got eventually you have to kind of get over it. Like you did a bad thing, you recognize it, you guys got to be better about it. And that's like that is so many of these side quests. There's really great side quests, and then you just have the random ones with like the dudes who are like, "Hello, I'm a ghost," and I'm like, "Well, here these are like, here's a morality tale for you. My son died." I'm like, "Oh, that's Atreus, isn't it?" Like,
I did not mind. I didn't mind the ghosts too much in this one.
They were fine, but they were fine. That's
once the ghost popped up, and once again, I love doing side quests, to be perfectly honest, because I know side quests gets me three things: loot, money, XP.
I podcast when I did this.
I'm gonna run through some notes.
Run it.
Because we're getting a little late right now. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jormungandr. I want to talk a little bit about Jormungandr. So Jormungandr and Fenris, I actually really enjoy how they incorporated them being Loki and Angerboda's children. Because Jormungandr being a soul given to a snake and made into a bigger snake. I also do like the idea that they've made the idea canon that Jormungandr was actually thrown back through time due to the fight in Ragnarok. And so when they see Jormungandr, it's like, Jormungandr looks different. Why does he look younger? I was like, does he? I guess so. He's too far away for me to tell.
Yeah.
And then
it is a great little moment. I do wish it was a little more like impactful.
Yeah,
but that's just like a fan service thing I want, I guess. So.
And then Fenris being a dog that a wolf that Atreus had adopted, who passed away in the beginning of the game, who I sobbed a little bit.
Talk about rude. Make us cry in like the first minute of your game.
Right, rude.
It's like people like, I won't see the movie The Dog Dies. First 20 minutes of the game, the dog dies.
We love that.
And then being a soul that's get brought into Garm because Garm was soulless, and that was why they couldn't defeat him. All good stuff. Really like that. Really like that idea. The thing that bugs me a little bit is because Jormungandr was kind of a big part of the 2018 game. I was very disappointed at how little of a part he was in this game.
Yeah, same.
Especially because we should have seen him get bigger. We should have gotten to know this new young Jormungandr.
Yeah, it's the thing I always talk about, like real estate. You know, you have so much time. This is a 40-hour game, and we spend a lot of it walking around, talking around, which is great. It's all great. It's like, great. Like I love a good walk and talk, but like I think about the stuff that was set up from 2018, and then there's new stuff in this game that they have to capitalize on like first, and I'm like, there's so much. Jormungandr was so big and cool, and like the last time you see him, he's like in the background. And I'm like, that just feels like a bummer.
Too bad
he disappears. Jormungandr, the old Jormungandr who fought in Ragnarok prior, the one that you met in 2018, he disappears after Ragnarok with no explanation. And they asked the game director, like, what happened? What happened to him? He's like, oh, he's sleeping.
We couldn't afford that model at the time. Yeah,
he's.
I would say there is one thing I do. There is a cool element. I do wish the finale was bigger and more bombastic, but there was something about how big the scale is for the story they're telling about how Odin is using Midgard humans as collateral damage. And I think that stuff's really great because it's Kratos realizing it's the same stuff that he used to do when he was a Greek soldier, a million years ago in Greece when that place existed. So there's some really great humanity happening with the whole party of like, Odin is the worst and we all know it. And we could see him, he's killing people to stop us. And I think all that stuff's really great. Again, it is a God of War game. You expect some type of spectacle. And like, I think of that final boss battle with Baldur. And then I think of this final boss battle with Odin. I'm just like, it's just not, it doesn't feel the same.
I just didn't look. I was never bored in this game. I'll put that out there right now. There was just no big spectacle moment. And like, I understand that probably that was the intention to kind of go smaller, but there is something to be said about the God of War game being, the God of War game.
Yeah, especially since especially since the ending of 2018's God of War essentially turned into a fight from Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that was cool.
But also, it's still emotional. Mm-hmm. Like you can have both. You can have scale. It's my favorite thing. You can have big scale and big emotions at the same time. Like Freya just lost her son. Like that's a powerful moment after that big fight. And I just don't feel like they don't capitalize on that type of thing enough in this game.
Right.
Although the grandma troll fight, that is a big different thing that I really appreciate in this game. I had so much fun having to jump from her big ass table to a stool. Mm-hmm. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I mentioned I do really like the Norn scene. I like how they visualize all the new gods and all the Norns. The water horse that we meet for 0.25 seconds.
Spooky. Yeah.
The other realms I think are well designed. I do really like how they interpret Asgard being like this, not this big golden hall, but this like humble place. And like even when Heimdall is talking to Atreus, like, oh, I thought Asgard, and Atreus, why? Odin is humble. He would never do that.
Odin's so humble. He's
so humble guy.
Saves his money.
God, I hate him so much. I was so glad that was like the one god I was like, I'm glad I get to kill you.
You know what? I'll say it. I wanted to kill more gods. We killed the entire Greek pantheon. Maybe we killed 4 gods in this franchise.
Be better.
No.
Here's the thing, and this is this is not a real conversation I'm having, but it's just something I'm going to bring up, and it's something called ludonarrative dissonance, and it's where you have a problem with the story of God of War Ragnarok is be better, don't kill. But the entire point of the game is to kill things. That's what you do in the game.
Yes.
So we can't actually have this conversation about Kratos being a better person when you kill 5,000 monsters. Not just kill them, rip them apart. You don't have to be so brutal, Kratos. So it's a type of thing where, like, when you try to tell stories like this, it's the same thing with The Last of Us 2. It's about, you don't need to be such a murderer. When you spend 20 hours murdering people, maybe actually you do. So I just wanted to bring it up because it's a fun story of, like, Kratos, stop murdering so many people, but don't worry about the 10,000 nameless creatures you just killed. They're not important.
Well, you're absolutely.
That's a bigger conversation that I actually don't really want to have.
But then they also, like, I just kind of real quickly, like they also bring up, like, oh, to kill them will be to set them free, like with the berserkers. Oh, you'll set their souls free if you kill them.
Yeah. That's like, no, we get to kill for a purpose.
Not only that, Mimir says, like, oh no, we get to stuff the king's soul into the hilt of the sword, and then we get to smash said hilt. So we're not. So it's essentially we're doing what Sindri did to Odin at the end of the game.
So we get berserkers, and we get these, like, hell draugrs, like the hell holes, and I think both of those are less cool than the Valkyrie fights.
Yeah, I mean the hell. I mean, really,
I think there's some good berserker fights, but what I liked about the Valkyrie is that they were all really unique and fun. The berserker fights are a lot of the same, and then a couple different.
There's then you fight double 3 at once.
No, oh God,
that was unfair. That was unfair.
No.
Let's just first of all, fuck them. Second of all, I'm actually very mad because I was watching a tutorial on how to help me to get attacks to beat them, and the guy was rolling away when they do, like, the fire orb and the ice orb, and it just hit the ground. Yeah, did you know that you could actually just throw the spear and explode it on contact? Because I didn't fucking know that until I fought the king the other night, and I'm very upset about it.
I too found that out too late, but I knew that.
But yeah, that 3-on-1 fight, F those sisters. And actually, when I got to the Sparta Volume 2v2 fight, that was a walk in the park.
That was fun.
I wasted them like that.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to bring up about, like, about the berserker fight. Actually, I'm struggling to remember now. But I think the Valkyries were a better stage. There's a line of dialogue I want to highlight. Unless we want to talk more about the berserkers, I'll just quickly
Gná, like the Valkyrie Queen, just shows up as your ally at one point. She's just there, like, hey, I'm your friend now. I'm like, didn't I kill you?
Don't you mean Sigrun?
Sigrun.
That's it. Yeah, I forget her name.
Yeah. Gnar is the new Valkyrie. Man, I hated that so much. When Gnar shows up in the Battle of Ragnarok, it's like, that's Gnar. I can't believe they made her the queen. Gone.
She's the final. You fight her at the end, but I'm like, what is this introduction?
I really get that she's at the end, and I'm glad that we got to fight her initially or whatever. But, like, I don't think she should have been at the end. But so there's the line of dialogue I want to talk about in Alfheim that I really like when you're going to free the squids, the jellyfish. Yeah, and there's a great reproductive lesson at the end of the second one. When Atreus is like, why are you doing this? You never want to do these quests with me. You never want to go off on these. You never want to free these things. And Kratos is not really answering him, and Mimir just goes, did it ever occur to you that he just wants to spend time with you?
Yep.
And that's a really good moment. Yep. Because at that point, Kratos knows that he's going to die, or at least thinks he's going to die because he saw the mural, which you realize that the mural, it only shows Kratos dying because that's the predictable outcome, but he doesn't do the predictable outcome at the end. Because he opens his heart. He instead of closing it, he opens his heart. That's a good story arc. I really enjoy.
Yeah, after you free all the 2 big jellyfishes, like, the world gets, like, flooded with the little tiny ones. I'm like,
because they bone.
Yes, they bone. It's really pretty. Yeah, a lot of those side quests are so fun. There's a really sweet, and I learned this after. There's a side quest where you're, like, gathering ingredients from across the realm, and that's a developer lost, like, his boyfriend or his husband who was a chef, and he put that in the game for him. And I was like, oh, that's just really sweet. I love when developers going to do stuff like that.
I'm missing
like a fun little treasure quest.
I'm missing one of those ingredients. Just one. Don't know
where
it is.
Sparkle flower.
I don't know.
What
Um,
the more characters, this game needed more real estate, frankly, because we get
Yep.
so many different characters. And again, not to be a broken record, but the way to do that is to make it 3 games. To make this 2 games.
when we meet Freyr and we meet like the Dark Elf and Light Elf, who are a couple, and like I want more of their story, but like, who are you? You guys seem cool. Please give me.
And
more.
we see Durlin. We see Durlin once as Kratos, and then once as Odin, and then once at the funeral. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess Durlin wasn't supposed to be important.
Although it's funny because if you see Durlin again after the funeral and you talk to him, he talks about how it's like, I'm as sober as the day I was born. It's like, yeah, you're still drinking. It's goat's milk. It's brown. It was an ugly goat.
I didn't hear that. That's pretty good.
I haven't gotten that one.
Go back to Svartalfheim. It's hilarious. I absolutely love that bit.
Did you, Brandon? Did you visit Tyr at different locations after you just?
Yeah,
after you meet
I found him in all the realms.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I found him in Alfheim because I freed him, and then I found him in Alfheim, and I think I found where am I right now?
He's at the last place I see him. I think it's at like the end of the world cosmos place with the space where Surtur is. He's there.
Oh,
I found him there. He's just chilling, like, wow, this is crazy.
Did you guys hear Sindri's cries in Niflheim?
You mean Samara's cries?
Samara's cries, yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah. That was terrible, or not terrible, but that was yikes. And also, Grayson has a really good thing saying, yeah, I think if this made it a 3 games, I think it would have been a much more solid game, more character development with a heart.
And I think, I will reiterate, like, I think the character stories of our main characters is good and solid, and there's some good stuff there. The character development on these side characters really suffers, and that's not a problem the 2018 game had.
Again, like Freyr is like such an outlier of a character for me in this game because like he doesn't sound like anyone else. He just sounds like a white dude, and like his dialogue also. It sounds more modern than the other way people are talking. I'm just like, this is just like a weird, like, hey, look, I'm like a cool jock guy. And I'm like,
and when he sacrifices himself to get everyone off of Asgard before it's destroyed by Surtur, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care because all of your character development with this guy has been off screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is like, again, like the idea of like building your army to fight Asgard is a really cool, and like opening all the realms, like that's a really cool scene. But it just like it feels like a lot of build up.
Opening all the realms is a really cool scene.
It feels like the assault on Asgard should be considerably longer.
Yeah.
But it kind of just like, no, Kratos, just go fight the bad guys.
And Sindri, look, I get Sindri's going through some shit, but when he's just like, I'll go get the dwarves ready, and then he comes back and like, I didn't want to get the dwarves ready. This is my fight. This isn't their. Well, then why'd you leave?
Because I'm dramatic.
Why'd you leave?
He went to go build the tuning fort so he can use the flaw.
That's pretty powerful. Powerful.
No, but that's the thing of like, there's clearly like a lot of things in this game. Like I mentioned Sindri, not Sindri, Jesus, Samara. Like she was supposed to be in the game. You were supposed to meet her originally. That's why you can see Niflheim from the realm, because that was going to be a connected level that you were going to be able to go to. They canceled all that, and like you look at all the stuff they canceled, and I'm like, well, actually, all the stuff you canceled would have fixed a lot of the problems that I personally have with the game. Maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah, but then you got a point where like, what do you delay the game for another year? Like,
I don't have a problem with game delays.
No, I agree, but like, this is not. I know this is not the case. It's gonna sound. It feels like they did not want to make a third game, so they just had to get this one out. And like, if the story doesn't work, then they did their best. And I know that's not the case. I know they worked really hard, but like, it's just like going from the first God of War to this. Like, that first one is so good. It's so tight. Like it is flawless. When you double the length, double the characters, and you don't double the combat, like it's a video game still. You got to play it. So like. I'm glad to have played it. I'm glad, like, I think it's a really good game.
Yeah.
With this type of game, with this scale, like this is like the AAA, the biggest with the big. I was really hoping for a slam dunk, and it's more like you made it. You definitely made it. You made it.
It was more like an alley-oop than a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I think that probably should. I think that probably does it.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Ryan, what would you rate it?
Hold on. Odin's great. Thor's great. Oh, what's Thrud and Thor's wife's name?
Sif.
Sif. I think Sif's pretty cool. That's the blonde lady from Uncharted. What's her name?
Oh
I
yeah,
forget her name. But that's a blonde lady from Uncharted. She's
yeah. I thought she was
Alana?
familiar.
I all the boss fights I think are fun. I love fighting these guys. The alligators. whatever
Drekkie.
they're called.
The Drekkie.
There's always two. Like, why am I fighting two? I don't mind. I'll kill them. I thought they
Oh
were
man,
great.
when I fought one, I was like, oh man, what was hard enough? And then when I had to fight two of them, I'm like, shit.
I think my favorite combat area, I think where is it where you have the rocks that you can ping pong with the axe?
Alfheim.
Alfheim.
With the dark elves, light elves. That stuff's awesome. I love doing that. Like the puzzles where you have to like line it up and you have to break stuff and move stuff. I love all that stuff.
Definitely got some good aha moments when I finally figured it out.
Yeah, me too.
Aha.
Let's see. Oh yeah, one quick little thing. One thing I do love is that if you miss anything, it'll show up in the chest at all the blacksmith stuff.
That's
Because
great.
there's one time where a material for the crystal in the crater fell on a ledge and would not come down, and I upset it, and I was mad about it because like shit, I really need this piece so I can throw into the wishing well. Gorgeous, by the way.
I love that.
Then,
I love that wishing well stuff. Like making armor, you have to like synthesize it. Love it.
yeah, you have to like break these these rock tumors that are hurting the land, and all of a sudden it's like we gift you better stuff. And thankfully I was able to grab it. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that bit, because you do forget things every once in a while. It happens. It's a big ass game, and a lot of times the loot is on the floor, is hard to pick up. Brandon, final thoughts, or Ryan, what would you rate the game?
First of all, one more thing. The post game's great. I really like. There's a couple different quests that you get, but the one I really like, it's like, there's 10 like fallen pieces of Asgard that have landed on the different realms, and you got to go clean them up. So they'll just be like part of a building with some dudes, or part of a ship with some dudes, and like, we're from Asgard. How did we get here? I guess I'm gonna die by Kratos, and you have to do that 10 times, and then you get some experience. And I just thought that was fun. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Brandon?
I speaking of side quests that probably shouldn't have been side quests, the Laufey versus Thor storyline, I think should have been a quest.
Oh, that is such a but again, that's the whole crater thing, and that's like its own separate.
I know, but like that's important character development for Thor and for Kratos, because there's still a lot of like, why did Faye put us on this journey? There you go. That answers some of it.
Because when you first fight Thor, he's like, this seems familiar. Because he fought Laufey with the Leviathan axe who knows how long ago. And if you don't do the post-game content, that is never followed up on. So you're just like, what did he mean? What did he mean by that? Yeah.
Exactly. Which I'm just saying should have been quest.
Yeah.
I think that the game overall is a very good experience. I really enjoyed playing it. It was my most anticipated game of many, many years. I'm not a big gamer, so take that how you will. The emotional storytelling wasn't quite there for me, and I know I've been a lot more negative than I honestly thought I would be on this thing, because like I did really like the game. I did have a good time. I was never bored. I really liked the characters. I just wish I wish they used the real estate smarter, and I don't believe they did, especially towards the end of the game. And maybe they just didn't want to, and I don't want to force people to do something they don't want to, but like 3 game, a new God of War trilogy would have been a lot stronger than this duology, I think.
Oh yeah.
I really like how they interpret Norse mythology. My final thoughts are just, like the first game, I really enjoy how they interpret Norse mythology, and the various names, specifically like Frigg and Freya, and Fenris, Fenrir, Svartalfheim, and Nidavellir. Nidavellir being what the dwarves call it, but Svartalfheim what Asgardians call it, and it's like they don't like it.
Yeah.
So like, and how they interpret the stuff with Loki and Angrboda. I'm a mythology nut. I know you are too, Ryan. So it's really cool to exist in these mythology worlds and have them be reinterpreted in such unique and creative ways. And I think I think the game is just as strong in that case as the first game.
Oh yeah, they didn't skimp on any of the research or like build in the mythology. Like it's and there's so much. If you love reading, oh my god, are there documents and pages and like lore and manuals you can read in this game? It's so much stuff.
Yeah, I would also give it an 8 out of 10.
The Nidhogg is in this game. That's a cool thing.
The Nidhogg is in this game.
Rescue his babies.
I would also give this an 8 out of 10.
I'm going to be the one outlier and give it a 9.5. I was thinking it was going to be a 10 because just like Elden Ring, to me, the flaws in the game are just so minuscule because of how much fun I had.
Oh, yeah.
But unlike Elden Ring, even when I first started Elden Ring, I wanted to keep playing. The second I popped that disc into my PS5, that disc did not leave my PlayStation for months, literal months. It was in there. With God of War, it did take a while for me to get there. And thankfully, I mean, I'm glad I finally made it, but I would say that this game is 9.5. There are some things that you guys have talked about that actually shifted my perspective on. It's like, yeah, there probably should have been a second. This probably should have been 3 games. They probably should have done away with certain characters, or they needed more real estate, and they needed to take some stuff out or speed things up a little bit. There are a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, this game was still absolutely fantastic to play. While I do agree with the general consensus that it is not truly a Game of the Year winner, it should be spoken the same breath as Elden Ring. This game truly was fantastic to play. It had some great moments in it. The characters in it were fantastic. Christopher Judge deserves winning best performance, but that could be said for a lot of actors in this game. Richard Schiff was fantastic. And
I think Freya is my favorite because she's acted her ass off in this one. She's so much.
Richard Schiff, real quick, because you brought it up, Richard Schiff is such an effortless actor. I love watching him act. He's so cool to watch act because he's so just kind of like calm and collected. And
I got a Schiff fact for you.
Yeah.
So they wrote this Odin specifically for him, not thinking they could get him. His agent came to him. He initially said no. He told his son, and his son is an avid gamer, saying, "Hey, they want me to do this God of War thing." And he's like, "If you don't do this, you're not my dad anymore." He didn't actually say that, but he was like, "You have to do this, Dad. Like, God of War is the biggest thing ever." So, like, thank his son for being in this.
Richard Schiff is
he's
my favorite in this.
I feel like there's a lot of stories like that where it's like, oh, I went to my son and I went to my kid and my kid said, "Do it."
There's a lot of that.
There is. But yeah, once again, flaws are there, but to me, they are just minuscule to the amount of fun, the amount of the drive I had to explore as much of this game, the drive I still have now to explore the post-game content and still play more and see more that's out there. I don't know if I am going to platinum this game, like get 100% and defeat and get everything, but it's just so much fun. It's so much fun to explore and to do. So it maybe not, I don't know, but still solid 9.5. This game truly is a fantastic game.
It is. I'll agree with that.
All right. So that's Basement Arcade Pause Menu for God of War Ragnarok. Tonight we will continue on to our book club segment of the live recording. But if you're watching this just as Basement Arcade Pause Menu episode, thank you so much for joining us. You definitely know where you can find us because there are links below, and we don't need to drag that out for the people who are watching this live.
So just like last time, can we each do our own boy like we did for 2018 God of War?
Sure. Yeah, Ryan,
Hold
go
on.
Let me also.
Yeah, we're all doing the boy.
Boy, no, I can't do it. I can't get my voice raspy enough.
And you got the rasp.
Boy.
There you go. I can't do the raspy thing.
Christopher Judge, was that you?
All right.
Or actually, hold on, one more. Atreus.
There you go.
That's pretty good. All right.
I was talking like Kratos a lot when I was
now
playing
you
the
need
game.
to give a 12-minute speech.
No.
Don't do it. All right. So it's for tonight, book club.
Unpause. Even Grayson is in the chat. He's doing boy.
Virtual boy.
His virtual boy. Okay, I see what you did there.
All right. Book club. It's time now for our Fake Nerd Book Club. First of the year, first of 2023. Ryan, what did you bring for us today?
I brought murder. Hey guys, I brought volume 1 of Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, who are the greatest duo in comic books. They have been for many years. And also the colors are by Elizabeth Breitweiser. Thank you for having a name on there so I can read it because I wouldn't remember that. This is hey, would you believe that Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker did a crime book? Could you believe that? But what if it's really sad Spider-Man? I was reading this book as it was coming out, and I dropped it off after the first volume, not because it was bad, just because I wasn't worried about this book doing well because it was selling really well, and I was buying a lot more comics, and I needed to drop stuff. But I got volume 1 here. I got the other volumes behind me. I think this book, besides obviously being really like sad, I think it's awesome. I think it is exactly what Ed Brubaker was shooting for. It's like, yo, what if vigilantism was real? What if you actually had to kill bad people? What would you do? How do you do it? How do you get away with it? And that's like, yeah, it's a heavy topic, but man, when a demon's involved, it makes it a little more fun to talk about. So what do you guys think about Murder Without the Orient Express?
I quite enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. So just to clarify, it was just 4 issues collected in this volume, correct?
Yes.
Because I read 4.
Me too. I actually had to look up online to make a lot of times when we do volumes.
Was this the final thing that you saw? Ignore the boobies?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
there are these are meaty issues though. They're very meaty.
Oh yeah.
That's why this is bigger than what looks like 4 issues. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Sean Phillips' art is incredible. I really like his artwork. Ed Brubaker, I have not read in quite a while, so it was really nice to kind of go back. The last thing I read of his was Fade Out, and they were coming out. This was Fade Out, and this were coming out.
That's
at the same
not
time.
true because we read Pulp for the book club that I picked last year.
Pulp,
the old Cowboy Against Nazis book, or maybe you were on it.
I don't think I was on that.
Did I read that one?
I don't recall that one.
It was a book club a while ago.
That does sound. I think I did read it, but that's anyways.
But yes, I just finished my thoughts. Really enjoyed this.
Love it.
I also really enjoy this. This definitely gives. Yeah, this is like, hey, you have to do horrible things, and also it gets into the. I don't want to say the mind of a killer because obviously Dylan's not really a killer. He doesn't want to do things. He's done
murdering
with
people.
Life. He is murdering people, but
that's a killer.
Honestly, one of the scene that I was just like that really sunk its hooks in me that I knew I just wanted to keep on reading, and who knows, I might continue this past these 4 issues, is when he gets the vindication that after he kills Teddy's brother and finds out that he was involved in a child sex ring, and he's just like, it's like, oh, I did do something good. Yeah, I mean, you get to. I love how the demon's drawn. I love
the demon.
Yeah, the way the demon is drawn is just like it's this black shadowy figure with eyes and teeth. It's like
ignore the boobies.
Ignore the boobies. It's just very simple. It kind of reminds me of a sleep paralysis demon in a way, where it's like it's in like how this demon can just appear in literally anything. Like there's a picture of me and my friends on my desk. The demon can appear in the reflection, or the demon can appear in this. Like in anywhere, in the window, in the mirror, in like the reflection of my phone, just like all the places in the shadows, just everywhere this demon would pop up. It was so terrifying, and I was like, ugh. But then you get to the relationship with Dylan and is it Kira?
Kira, yeah.
You get to the relationship with them. It's like, oh, that sucks.
It's just a bunch of broken people doing bad things with each other. I think this book is such a good character piece. It really is like the second because like it was described as like evil Spider, like a sad Spider-Man, but once it got to like the professor page where he's like, what you're late all the time, blah blah blah. He's like, I'm sorry, professor, I'm just I'm trying to do all these things, and I'm like, man, that is Spider-Man. I love it. It's about Dylan, and Dylan tries to kill himself, and he survives, thankfully, because suicide's bad. But it turns out maybe he survived because a demon kept him alive, and now he has to kill someone once a month or he will die. Is this really happening? Is this in his mind? Who knows? We're still really early in the book. But he doesn't believe it, and then over the month he starts getting sick and he starts feeling real bad, and he's like, damn, maybe I gotta kill someone. And he gets to the final day and he decides to kill someone. Feels better, and actually feels good inside about it too. And that's the problem about this book, y'all, because this book's awesome because I read a bunch of interviews to like get like, why did you want to make this book? And he's like, I wanted you guys to sympathize with a murderer. And I think we all are in agreement that we do sympathize with Dylan here.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a Punisher. He is killing bad people. Murder's wrong. Murder's bad. So it is such an incredible feat to watch someone buy a gun, premeditated, know they're going to go kill someone, and you're like, hell yeah, let's go, Dylan, let's do this. You gotta
or the fact that he found his dad's old weapon
Well, but that's the thing. That's the
Oh, it's so
Spider-Man thing.
sinister too. I'm gonna go visit my mom. Yeah.
That's the Spider-Man thing, right? Like the comparison to Spider-Man, because we're meant to sympathize with Spider-Man. Peter Parker for many years was meant to be a sympathetic hero for everyone.
He's relatable.
He's relatable. And so like this is a kid who's going through much of the same depression that I'm sure a lot of us have dealt with, has much of the same telling about much of the same feelings. And it gets to the point where we're like, oh yeah, no, I'm Dylan. And then he starts murdering, and you're like, I'm Dylan?
Yeah. And like
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I love how like toxic it becomes, because like he has a best friend with Kira who starts dating his roommate. But then Kira, because she's so messed up with her own problems, starts messing around with Dylan. And then she's like, oh, well, I'll break up with him. And then it's just like this disgusting circle with all of them just like feeling bad. And then she leaves him like, oh, actually, I'm going to stay with the guy. It's just like, well,
what's so messed up about that is like she's initially upset with Dylan because Dylan started leaving at 2 a.m. in the morning, and the roommate was like, oh, I was going to meet Kira, which yes, but not that particular night.
Not that night. Yeah.
And Kira comes over and is like, he thought you were seeing me, which obviously isn't the case because you're a bloodied. And I'm like, girl.
It's just really like gross. And like I just really enjoy a book that can just make you feel like this sometimes, because it's just like it's real. It's like it's realistic. And like people are toxic and they do toxic things. And like when people feel like they're damaged, they don't feel bad about doing damage because they think, oh, it's what I do because I'm damaged. And I'm like, that's a really bad way to think, because there's never going to be growth or learning. And it's just a bad circle. And like I really just first of all, Brandon, the art is great. I love the art, the facial expression specifically, like the way that Sean Phillips can do like facial, like the little face.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. It's just like, it's also like thinking about murder is really like thinking about murder is weird, because like I'm sure we've all once like, could I get away with murder? And the answer is no, because DNA in the 21st century is like how it is. But then I read a book like this and I'm like, anybody's capable of anything and nobody really knows anything. And it's like really scary. Because like you can just go into like and just murder some random homeless person. And that's terrible. That's terrible. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but murder makes me uncomfortable.
As it should.
That's what I like about this book, is like he's going out and he's going to try to kill like gangbangers, but like he doesn't want to be racist about it, because like, oh, am I going to kill a bunch of drug dealers? That's not going to solve any problems. And like, and that's what the Punisher would do. But the Punisher used to be racist back then, because there's a bunch of white people writing about killing black people, and it's awful. And like,
yeah, he talks about like the drug dealer thing, where it's just like it's not their fault that this is what they do. Like they're delivering a good, and like so like do I kill the customers? Like no, they're just trying to live their life.
And again, like Ed Brubaker's like, I want you to sympathize with this man who is ritualistically killing people, is just something you don't often see in art. That's like really, it has to ride a really fine line of like Dylan. I'm not gonna call him a good person, but he's not a bad person. But if you actually feel like you have to kill people to stay alive, then there is something maybe wrong with you. Because I don't know, I don't remember or not if the demon is real or not. But it's the paint. It's in one of his dad's paintings, and the fact that he sees it in one of his dad's paintings makes me think there's some sad repressed trauma that he doesn't know about. And
the demon was looking at him through the painting.
Okay, there you go. That's what I like about the story, because it could be real, it could be not real. He fell off a roof, but like he landed in a bunch of like hangers, so he could have.
Yeah, movie logic. He lived because he landed on a clothesline and then a blanket.
Movie logic. I love the idea of him like just like going out every night and like, I gotta kill a bad guy. Oh look, these strippers, like the guy that they're with is clearly evil because he's putting him in a car, and then he shoots the guy, and then all the girls attack him. And I'm like, it's just like, Dylan, you're in a bad spot.
And like Dylan is clearly self-destructive when he's killing people, because he's willingly sleeping with Kira, and like he's hurting his best friend essentially. But so like he's clearly not a good person, but the story still frames him as sympathetic, and so instead of being like, oh Dylan, you asshole, what the hell are you doing? You're like, oh Dylan, you shouldn't be doing this, buddy.
I turned to the perfect page. It's before he gets the outfit, and he's talking to the demon, and he's like, I don't want any of this. I don't want any of this. And he's like, you're wasting your time lying to me, boy. Only trying to convince yourself.
Yeah.
Like I think there might be some unfortunate sinister stuff in Dylan. Because like that's Ed Brubaker's game. Like he either does like something like the Fatale, which is Lovecraft in Hollywood, or he does something that's just realistic. And the demons are inside your head. So it could be either way. I agree with you, Ben. I am absolutely going to continue to read this book because I forgot how good it was, and reading these is so much easier than finding all those floppies from 5 years ago.
Anything else?
Any final thoughts, Ben, on Murder or Be Murdered?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All
nice,
right.
light, fun topic.
Murder's bad.
Murder.
It's
All right,
bad.
so
Don't do it.
That'll do it, guys. That's the episode for this week. My book club next week. And let me ask you guys, do you want a manga or a comic?
Manga.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is it Chainsaw
All right.
Man?
Kaiju number 8, volume 1.
Oh, I know that book.
I don't know that book.
It's all the rage. There's an anime show coming out next year. I bought it on a whim, and I figured I haven't done a manga before, and so I could give you guys the option. If it was a comic, I was going to pick between a few, but like I knew manga, kaiju number 8, volume 1.
Hell yeah, manga. Yeah, you haven't. Manga is like a new word to you. This makes me excited. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm gonna read right to left.
All right. I mean, it's Dragon Ball Super's not out yet, right? No, I'm kidding. All right. So that'll do it, guys.
Catch up 130 chapters by next week.
Yeah. So next week, I don't know what we're doing at this point. So stay tuned for whatever that's going to be. What the hell? My tablet. So let's see if I can do this from memory. That's why I write it down so I don't have to remember.
Thank you to all of our friends and family.
Okay, so yes. Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the rewind. We greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can check out all of our other shows. It's up now. All of our other shows, such as Fake Nerds Watch, Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which we just had. That was an episode of Basement Arcade Pause Menu. If you had never seen or heard Basement Arcade Pause Menu, that was it. You did it.
There you go.
Popped it.
Subscribe to its own channel. It's got its own channel. Do it. Fake Nerd Book Club, Animation Station, all shows you can find on this channel. If you like this video and you subscribe to this channel, of course you can check out our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. Greatly appreciate it. You can find all these links on our links below or on our website, which is also linked below at fakenerdpodcast.com. We have links everywhere to everything and everywhere. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watched the live show tonight. Thank you to everyone who's going to watch the rewind. We greatly appreciate all of your support. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci, our good friend and compatriot, Jeremy Vellucci. You can find his Instagram at Jeremy Vellucci _Wreck of Time, which is his band, new album out now. Or you can find his podcast at Suburban Proctologist on iTunes, or Subproc Podcast on Instagram, or Suburban Proctologist Official on Facebook. He did all the music you heard here tonight and all the music for all of our shows. So check him out. Thank you to Mike Matola. Mike Matola, a wonderful friend who's collaborated with us on many things and designed a few of our logos. Just made a new Jaws print. It's a great movie, Mike. Come on, Mike. You can find him at Mike Matola on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for KaijuRamaMedia.com, AtomicGeekdom.com, and CBR.com. Ben?
You can find me absolutely salivating and itching to go into Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood at Ben27 on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, which today I also just finished an article for Go Nintendo, but that's not up yet. I'm pretty sure my editor doesn't even know I finished it yet. So once that goes up, check my socials and it will be there. So yeah, check it out.
Ryan?
You could find me telling death. Wait, hold on. Death can have me when it earns me. At DJ Tony Snark 616.
It's a great line. What's that from?
That's from God of War.
Oh yeah, that's a while ago. This is a really good line. All right, You can also find our good friend Sparks Woody, who could not be here because he's married now. Congratulations once again to our good friend Sparks Woody at SPARKZ Woody on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.